Computer technician Netza Ortega is suing his ex-girlfriend, 26-year-old customer service rep Maribel Gutierrez, for unpaid loans to get her hair done and for the return of a promise ring.
Oh, Mr. Ortega. The romance is over. You want your jewelry back, and you want some money that you loaned to the defendant while you were together.
That's correct.
Ms. Gutierrez says you often gave her money. There was never any mention of a payback, and the jewelry you want back were gifts that you made to her, and you're not entitled to them back.
I feel that it's entitled back to me because they were actually a symbol of a relationship.
All right, let's take the simple ones first. The loan. When do you claim, and what year did you make her the loan?
June of this year, and it was to get her hair done, and it was for $50.
What's next,
Okay,
Mr. Ortega?
after that, it was another loan for $50 to get her hair done.
Get over it, Mr.
And then after that, it was another $40, and that was
to get her nails done?
No.
Manicure, pedicure.
No, that was actually
facial,
to get her
leg wax, whatever.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Let's get to the jewelry.
Okay, the jewelry was given to her in April.
Did she go shopping with you for the jewelry?
No.
You went by yourself?
I went by myself.
And you went to a store and you picked out what kind of jewelry?
A promise ring. It was a butterfly made of diamonds.
And what else?
And then a month later, after I paid off the ring, I got her a matching pendant that went with it.
How much did you pay for all this?
About $325 total.
$325.
Yes.
So we're not exactly talking the Hope Diamond here.
No.
Is that right? Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
is this your first girlfriend?
No, it's not.
How many girlfriends have you had?
I've had about 4.
Did you buy them gifts?
I bought them gifts.
And then you broke up with them?
Yes.
Did they give you back the gifts?
No, because I didn't ask them for those because they weren't actual agreements. The promise ring was an agreement that we would stay in a monogamous relationship. And now that it's over, I deserve that. I should get it back.
Julie, 1 second.
Miss Judy?
Just 1 second. When you gave her the ring, what did you say to her?
I said, this is a promise that we would stay in this relationship.
You made her a promise?
Yes.
That's nice.
And she agreed to take it.
Mr. Ortega.
Yes.
Grow up, sir.
Okay.
You're dying to say something.
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
We made a promise that he would stop drinking, doing drugs, and I accepted the gift if he would stop doing drugs and drinking. He did not. Accidentally, I don't know what happened to the gift. It got
that's
lost.
not true.
Listen to me. You were better off without opening your mouth.
Okay.
You were better off just standing there and looking gorgeous. Mr. Ortega.
Yes.
Get over it. Put a period. Move on.
Okay.
If you want a ring that comes back to you, you buy a diamond.
It was
Now,
diamonds.
listen to me. No, not a
were
butterfly.
diamonds.
Not a butterfly, Mr. Ortega. You buy a single diamond and you have it set in a very nice setting, and then you say, I want you to marry me.
I
Will you
did.
listen to me. I'm speaking.
At one point, though, I did.
I'm speaking.
Okay.
Will you marry me? This is an engagement ring.
We weren't
not
engaged.
a promise ring. I don't care if you were engaged or not. Listen, I've gotten engaged without a ring, too. Once or twice.
Okay.
A ring, the solitaire, Mr. Ortega, not a butterfly.
Actually, it was a princess cut.
Bye, Mr. Ortega.
Deli manager Martha Garnica is suing her ex-husband, produce manager Alan DeLaza, for the money he promised to pay for their daughter's 2000 Ford Mustang. Alan says their daughter disrespected him, so the deal's off.
Ms. Garnica, this is your former husband. You
Yes,
have
it
2
is.
children together.
We do.
You called your former husband and told him that you wanted to buy your daughter, I assume this young lady's, pretty young lady, a car for her birthday, and asked him if he would contribute to the car. So far, is that correct, sir?
Close enough.
Close enough. And your former husband agreed to give you $2,000 towards the purchase of that car, $1,000 from one fund and $1,000 from a different fund. Close enough?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah.
He gave you the $1,000.
Yes.
The $1,000.
Yes.
In reliance on his promise to give you the $2,000, you went out and purchased your daughter a car.
Yes, I did.
How much was the car?
$5,000.
And you purchased her this $5,000 car because your former husband had agreed, made a contract, so far, right, to give you $2,000. And then, against his wishes, this young lady went ahead and got your permission to have a belly piercing, right?
Kind of.
Right. She had discussed it at one time with her father, who said, I don't want you to do that, right?
Right.
And you went and did it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is stupid to begin with. Why anybody would want to pierce their belly button, I haven't a clue. Gets stuck on your sweaters. I don't know why anybody would want to do that. But that's just an older person's perception of why young people pierce their bodies and say, look at me, look at me, look at me, I'm different. You know, people should look at you because you do things that are creative, intelligent, smart. You've made something of yourself. You know, sticking things in your body doesn't cut it for me. Your father says you got your belly pierced, you don't get the other $1,000.
Right.
Unfortunately, you're wrong. You're not wrong to feel as if your daughter did something that was not right, but your contract was not with your daughter.
Yes, it was.
No, no, no. Your contract was not with your daughter, sir. Your contract was with your former wife. You may have been contributing to buy your daughter a gift, which is what you say. I was buying my daughter a gift. She went against my wishes. I'm not going to give her the gift. You made a contract with your wife because once she went out to purchase that car, relying on your promise to give her $2,000, you had a binding agreement. Now, I'm teaching you contracts. I'm giving you a basic course in contracts. If you had said to her when she called you, I will give you the $2,000 towards Amanda's car, but there's a condition. And the condition is she not have a body piercing until she's old enough to consent to it herself. If you had said that to her, and if she had had the body piercing, you will be absolutely right. You would be able to say, she breached the agreement, therefore I don't have to pay. But you did not have that as a condition of your contract with your former wife. Do you understand? Now, do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
It's just...
I understand that from your perception as a father, your daughter disrespected you.
Right.
And you don't reward somebody for being disrespectful. And for doing the wrong thing. I agree with you. Do the wrong thing. But that doesn't vitiate the contract that you had or do away with the contract that you had with your former wife. Do you understand? So while I'm sympathetic to you, you owe her $1,000. Pay her. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Plaintiffs Helga Vargo and her ex-husband, Robert, are suing their former friend, 25-year-old nursing assistant Billy Joe Beck, for the cost of bail when Billy Joe was arrested for outstanding warrants.
Miss Vargo, who's this?
This is my ex-husband.
And this used to be a friend of yours, I gather.
Yes.
And according to your complaint, she called you hysterical one day, that she had been arrested and she needed you to help her out with some bail money.
Yes.
You did, and she didn't pay you back.
Right.
And Miss Beck says, well, she paid you back some, and the rest was a gift. That's your defense.
Right.
What were you arrested for, Miss Beck?
I went to traffic court and I had to pay fines, and I paid partial, and I was supposed to pay the rest back, but I thought I had paid it all off, and I didn't know I got a letter in the mail at my grandmother's house. She had thrown it away, so I never knew that I had a remaining amount, so they put a warrant on my driver's license, and that's why I ended up in jail.
When were you summoned and told to pay fines? In what year?
It was back in 2002.
For what?
Traffic violations.
What kind
Speeding.
of... Speeding. How many times were you caught speeding?
Twice.
Okay, and how much were the fines that the judge imposed?
Total, it came to $550.
How much of the $550 did you pay?
$350 before I moved.
So you knew you had $200 left to pay.
Yeah, I think I did. Yes, I did.
See how easy it is?
Yeah.
There's an old adage. Do you have parents, grandparents?
Yeah.
They'll tell you something, and it's a very good thing to live by. If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
Right.
Now, did you expect the court in Ohio to send you a second or third invitation to pay the other $200?
I was supposed to get another letter to appear back in court, and I never got it. To pay back the rest, because I was...
So you expected another invitation.
Right.
You expected
I was
them
supposed to get another
re-invite you to come in.
I guess you could say that.
Good. So now you're arrested, and you were stopped for something, I assume, which is how they...
No, I was across the street where my nursing home is, a convenience store, and the cop had pulled in, ran my plate, and when I was coming back, he pulled us over in the parking lot.
Why would a cop just run your plate?
I asked him that. He said, being 2 o'clock in the morning, normally people that are at a convenience store are there to rob them. I'm like, I'm in my scrubs. I'm not going to rob anybody. You've seen me come back to work. And he's like, that don't make a difference.
So he ran your plate and found that there was a warrant for you.
Correct.
How much was the bail?
Total with the warrant fee and everything, it came back to $550.
So you called Miss Vargo.
Right, because they wouldn't let me leave to go get the money to pay them.
Sounds right to me. So
I know.
that suggests to me that if they allowed you to leave, you had the money.
Right.
Is that what you're telling me?
I had the means to go get it, but they wouldn't let me leave to go get it, to bring it back.
What kind of means did you have, Miss Beck, to go get it?
Check cashing.
So you could have gotten that quickly.
Yeah.
Good. So then you called Miss Vargo, and you must have said to her...
I asked her, I said, they're not going to let me leave until I pay this off. I said, can you come and pay it, and I'll pay you at least half of it that day. I actually paid her the next day. And I said, I'm not going to be able to pay you the rest because the money that I'm getting it from is a check cashing place, so I won't be able to pay you back the rest. And she said that was fine.
You just told me that you had the money. All you had to do was be able to...
money.
I'm speaking.
Sorry.
Remember what I said to you before? If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. You just told me you had the money to pay the $550, but they wouldn't let you leave.
Right, I would.
Then you called her and you told her a lie. You said, I'll be able to only pay you half.
I wouldn't have been to pay the court all of it. I would have been able to pay them half that day, and then...
They don't want half. They don't trust you.
I know. That's why I couldn't pay it.
All right. Now that I've tortured her sufficiently to satisfy me, Miss Vargo, you allowed her to write out this $550 on a credit card, and the credit card, unfortunately, belonged to your ex-husband.
To both of us. It was a joint account.
But he started to get the bills.
Right.
Which made you very unhappy.
Yes.
You have a copy of the bill?
Yes, I do.
Let me see.
It's a copy of the bill and what it's now accrued to with interest and late charges.
Okay. Now, do you have a check? You say you gave her some money?
Right.
Can I see the check where you gave her some money?
I have the whole thing from the check cashing place.
She give you a check for $300?
No.
I gave her cash because they cashed the check right there in the check cashing office.
When did you give her cash?
The next day, because I couldn't get it that day because the place had already closed, so that next day I went and got it, and I gave it to her as soon as her daughter came home from school. I gave her $300 on the first, and then 2 weeks later gave her $50.
You have a copy of that money?
No, because that was an extra $50 from my paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think I'd have to get a receipt from her, but I guess I should have.
All right. Did you get the bill, sir, right away from...
No, I knew nothing of this until September. This happened in March. I just found out about it in September. And that's
How
when
did you find out about it?
My ex-wife finally told me. Finally.
She got the $300. I don't know about the 50, but I know she got the 300 that she didn't tell you about.
Okay.
She figured she was going to stiff you, or that maybe it would just go away. But she got the $300. Still have a balance of $352 that's left, which, Miss Beck, you say was a gift. Is that right?
Yes, because I told
Well,
her...
explain to me why Miss Vargo would make a gift to you of the rest of your bail.
I asked her from the beginning, I said, I'd be able to pay you half, but the rest I'm not going to be able to come up with, because you know I don't make that much money, because she was working with me at the time. She said, that's fine. Then she started, like, a month later, she got fired from our work, and that's when she started calling me and bugging me for the money.
You know, it's so difficult when both people are not telling me the truth to have to sort out who's the biggest liar. It's really so hard to figure out who's the biggest liar is. The only one I know who isn't lying is him. Miss Beck, there isn't a reason for Miss Vargo to make you a gift of this money. You have a history, based upon your own statements, of trying to squirrel out of your responsibility. You tried to do it with the court. You tried to do it with her. In any event, I believe that you gave her back $300. You still owe $352. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Goodbye.
Why does that excuse you?
Engineer J. Dinatelli is suing fellow dog owners, 23-year-old Jessica Simonson and her father, Eric Simonson, for injuries to his hand and legs. Jay says he suffered leash burns when Jessica's pit bull attacked his dogs.
Husband and wife?
Father-daughter.
Father-daughter. Never can tell. It's Hollywood. Whose dog is it?
He was mine.
What kind of dog was he?
Staffordshire Terrier.
That's a pit bull.
Yes, ma'am.
And how long did you have him?
2 years.
Where is he now?
I'm assuming he was given to another home after I released him to the SPCA when I had to move and get rid of him.
You had to move from where to where?
From the house I was living in into a different house, which did not allow me to keep him.
So you don't know where he is?
Correct.
How old are you?
23.
What's your father doing here?
He's property owner where the incident happened.
Okay. So you're walking your dogs on a leash.
Yes, Your Honor.
And out from nowhere comes a pit bull.
Yes, Your Honor.
You were injured. You want to tell me how that happened?
Sure. As you know, I was walking my dogs on the levee, and suddenly my dogs alerted to something in back of me. I turned around, and there's a pit bull just charging towards me from about 150 feet away. It was very aggressive. It ran straight up to my dogs, tail straight in the air, very dominant posture, and quite frankly, I was terrified. I yelled at the dog to go home, paid no attention to me. About a minute later, I saw Miss Simonson emerge. She yelled something at her dog. The dog paid no attention to her. I yelled at her to control your dog, and at that point, she strolled towards us, which I found kind of amazing that she wasn't sprinting down the levee. She grabbed for the dog on 2 or 3 different occasions, and every time she reached down to grab her dog, it would scoot away, and in the scuffle, the leashes got wrapped around me, and that's how I got my injuries.
Tell me about your injuries.
The injuries were both to my hand and to both of my legs. They were burn-type injuries produced by the retractable leash. I've got photos of them if you'd like.
I'd like to see them.
I was wearing walking shorts at the time, so both of my legs were bare. The worst injury was the injury to my pinky finger, but they were all pretty bad injuries. Caused me a lot of pain for a week, and the injury to my hand took a full month to heal. I have a permanent scar right now.
Can I see it, please? Step up. I see it there, right here.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Frightening, scary, but you don't do hand commercials, right?
I'm a professor, so I lecture for a living, but
Right.
no, I don't do hand commercials.
Okay.
You're right.
One of the other things I was interested in is that you indicate that when you made an investigation, you discovered that this was not the first complaint of this dog being out unattended.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Do you have any proof of that, sir?
Yes, I do.
When did this incident happen?
January 3rd of 2003, and those complaint reports show that there were 4 formal complaints filed against this dog and this owner within the previous 18 months.
Did you know that there had been prior violations filed, that the dog was out?
No, ma'am, I was not aware
But you
of that.
did.
I was not aware of 4 of them, no.
How many were you aware of?
2?
Two's enough. This dog hurt somebody else in the same kind of circumstances. White pit bull jumped the fence this morning. The complainant fell back and injured back trying to keep the dogs apart.
I was in LA at the time.
Who cares where you were? All right, I'll hear you.
My version of what happened was I let my dog out to go to the bathroom.
What do you mean you let your dog out to go to the bathroom?
I opened the sliding glass door to let him out into the backyard.
How many violations had you had at that time? 2, according to you?
That I'm aware of, yes.
I don't care what your version is. You just answered your own question. You just resolved this lawsuit. This lawsuit says that you were negligent, careless, and as a result of that, he was injured. Don't you get it? You knew you had a dog that twice caused other people to call and register complaints, and instead of putting your pants on and putting the dog on a leash, you opened the door and let him out.
I was out there with him.
Who cares? Do you get it, Mr. Simonson?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Good, I'm glad you both get it.
However, I disagree that the dog is potentially vicious. This dog is
I
never...
don't care what you believe. The dog caused injury to him. Don't be a fool. The dog was not within the control of his owner.
I agree with that, Your Honor.
Perfect. I don't know whether or not your injuries are worth $5,000, which is what you're suing for, but their stupidity is worth $5,000. And the lesson to be learned is worth $5,000, that when you have a dog that is capable of causing serious physical injury or death, you don't open the door and let the dog out to go to the bathroom alone. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
19-year-old student Quentin Young is suing his father, truck driver Robert McIntyre, for medical bills due to an assault. Quentin claims his father held a razor to his neck and slapped him twice.
Quentin, this is your dad.
Right.
And it is your complaint that last year he assaulted you.
Yes, ma'am.
And you had some medical bills.
Yes, ma'am.
That he had promised to pay.
Yes, ma'am.
He didn't.
Didn't.
You want him to pay the medical bills.
Right.
His father says that you were acting disrespectfully.
Right.
He slapped you.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's it.
And put a razor to my face after he slapped me.
Just a second.
Okay.
That's what he says.
Okay.
Your parents are divorced?
Yes, ma'am.
How long are they divorced?
Ever since I was 4 and I'm 20 now.
Who's this lady?
My mom.
She remarried?
Yes, ma'am.
Is your father remarried?
Many times, ma'am. No, ma'am.
When did this incident happen with your dad?
May 18th of 2003.
And you were living with your mom?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did it happen?
It happened in the Oak Cliff area in Dallas, Texas, at his friend's house.
What were you doing at his friend's house?
We were supposed to take pictures that day. It was me, my father, my younger brother, and my other younger brother. My brother's right there.
Tell me what happened.
What happened was we went over to his friend's house. He had 4 outfits for all of us, which was me, my brother, my father, and my other little brother. I started to tear off the logo sign of the Dickies.
He was trying to cut it off, man.
Well,
with a razor blade.
I love the arts, and I like to make my own style of clothing. And
he should have bought his own.
Shh. Okay, so he bought 4 outfits.
Right, right.
So everybody would be dressed the same way.
Right, yes. But he didn't buy them.
Where did he get them?
Well, my brother later told me that he stole them off his truck.
What kind of truck?
18-wheeler truck. But he stole and he works, you know. So that's what he did.
So you're taking the Dickie label off the pants?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
He told me to step outside and ask for the razor. Then he slapped me in the face twice and put the razor to my face. And that's when I jerked away from him and started running.
Well, did the razor cut you?
It
either cut you or it didn't.
It didn't cut me.
Okay. Put your hand down. So he slapped you twice?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you weren't injured from his slapping you, were you?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Well, tell me about your injury.
Well, I went to the hospital and they said...
Why?
Because I was hurt, Your Honor.
Let me see the hospital report, please.
Okay.
Well, this is just a bill. I want to see the report.
I don't have the report. They supposed to give them to me. They didn't give them to me in time.
Who took you to the hospital?
My mother drove me.
Step up.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, your son left and he called you, I assume after his father slapped him twice in the face. Where were you when he called you?
I was at home.
And you got in your car and you went and picked him up?
Yes, I did. And his face was swollen, and he had a cut on his face.
Where?
It was right...
I don't see anything about blood here.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't like a big gash, but it was a small amount of blood.
I don't listen to me. I don't see anything about blood here. I don't see anything about stitches here. I don't see anything about anything here. Why did you put your hands on him?
You know, Quentin had this attitude that, you know, he was just getting belligerent, you know, like coming around, you know, like smarting off and all that. The way
what did he say to you?
I asked him what was he doing. He said, you gave him to me, didn't you? So by him being in front of my other kids, let's go outside. You know, I'm not gonna.
Hey!
See what I mean?
Go ahead.
When he goes outside, he like backs up and balls his hands up, and I'm like, Quentin, you know, I grabbed him around the neck. Then he acted like, you know, raised one of his hands up And that's when I slapped him, because he's in front of my other kids, and I'm not having it. Where I was raised at, ma'am, respect.
You're absolutely right. You should respect your parents, and your parents shouldn't put their hands on you, especially if you're a grown-up. You don't put your hands on them.
I understand.
It's not a smart thing
I
to do.
understand.
You also don't overreact and take him to the hospital because he got slapped in the face. What?
All right, does it say in the report, of his report, that I balled up my fist to...
I don't care whether you did. I just told him he had no right to hit you.
Okay, okay.
I just told him he had no right to hit you. Shouldn't hit his child, especially a grown-up child.
That's right.
And if you did, you felt as if he disrespected you, and he didn't treat you in a fatherly way, and he didn't respect your art, and he didn't respect your individuality, and he didn't respect all that other thing. That's a lot of bull. He got 4 outfits to take a picture. You didn't like the outfit, suck it up, take the picture, and go home to your mama.
I was feeling the same way.
You understand?
I was feeling the same way, but he
well,
slapped me for it.
then what'd you go outside and start cutting up the outfit for?
No, I was cutting it up on the inside.
In
then
front
he stepped,
of me, Your Honor.
Okay, in front of you.
Why didn't you wait until you got home?
That's what I asked.
We were taking pictures that day, Your Honor. So.
Why didn't you wait until you got home?
But why would I...
Your Honor, he's just wanted to show his dad. He's been away for
Listen to
many
me.
years.
Don't speak.
He's been away for many years, and my son, I have remarried, and my son just was reaching out. He yearned to be with his dad. I okayed many trips for him to go with him on the U-Haul truck. But when he got with him, he betrayed him by fighting him. He knows that he's in theater. He knows that his aspirations is to get into entertainment business, but he disrespected his own son. I'm okay. I'm okay. He disrespected his own son.
Listen to me. His son disrespected him.
He loves his son. He loves his dad to death.
Listen, that's why you're not paying attention. That moment, that day, your son was disrespectful for the moment. And I told his father he had no right to put his hands on him. He had no right to overreact. And neither does he. He wants to be an actor. Great. It doesn't mean you have to be abnormal.
But he didn't want to
disrespect him. Listen to me.
That's not what he wanted,
Get
Judge.
over it, madam. It's not a big deal in the scheme of things. It's not a big deal to take a picture with your father with an outfit that has a Dickie label on it or any label on it. It's not a big deal.
Take away from the picture. The logo is small. It won't take away from the picture.
I got it for him, Your Honor.
Listen to me.
You stole it.
Speak quiet. Speak.
You got it.
Mr. McIntyre, shh. Don't speak. Don't speak.
Yes, ma'am.
All very unfortunate, and it's certainly very unfortunate that you overreacted and took him to a hospital and built up this medical bill that was ridiculous. You should have taken him home and put a cold rag on his head. In any event, I think you both behaved badly that day. I think you did, and I think if you encourage your son to think that he did the right thing, that's a big mistake.
I'm not, Your Honor.
Well, you shouldn't.
I wouldn't do
Well,
that.
you shouldn't. And if his father hasn't been much of a father to him over the last, I don't know, 20 years, 15 years, whatever it is, you're not going to make up for it in one picture, sir.
Exactly.
There's a lot of history that goes on.
Yes, ma'am.
But one thing that you don't do, especially with a child who you haven't been around and haven't been a father to his whole life, you don't put your hands on him.
Exactly.
You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
So you owe him an apology for that. You owe him an apology for that. That's all. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
17-year-old student Miranda Wilkins and her mother Gail are suing Miranda's father, business owner Scott Wilkins, for the cost to fix her 2002 Chevy Cavalier. Miranda says her dad accidentally backed the car into his own vehicle.
What's your first name?
Miranda.
How old are you, Miranda?
17.
And this is your mother.
Yes.
And this gentleman is your dad.
Yes.
Your dad was doing some work on your car and had an accident with it and put a little dent in the car. So you're suing him to fix the car. Father says he was more than willing to take care of it, to take it over to a body shop and have it fixed. You want it taken to the dealership where you bought the car so that it could be fixed by the same dealership that makes the car. Is that the idea?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. So I have a few questions for you, Miranda.
17-year-old Miranda Wilkins says her father, Scott Wilkins, backed her car into his own vehicle.
How long are your parents divorced?
A year.
Was it difficult for you?
No.
You live with your mother?
Yes.
What kind of a car do you have?
A 2002 Cavalier.
Who paid for the car?
They got it
out of closing money of the house.
Who paid for the car?
Mom and Dad.
It's very nice of them.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Wilkins, you were doing some work on your daughter's car. What kind of work were you doing on your daughter's car?
I was changing her oil and rotating her tires, and I was putting brakes on.
Had she asked you to do that for her?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So your father's working on your car. What happened, Mr. Wilkins?
I just kind of got in a hurry, and I had a head cold, and I'd forgotten.
You'd listen to me. Got to talk slowly so I can understand you, sir.
I'm sorry. I got done with changing her brakes, and then I was going to test them out, and I'd forgotten that I had pulled my truck down behind it. When I backed up, I backed into my front of my truck is what happened.
And how much damage was done to the car?
It put a dent in the back right quarter pounder, about the size of your fist.
Can I see it? You have a picture?
Yes.
It's kind of hard to see. It's a black car.
Well, I'll take a look at it. I want to see the kind of damage that would bring a daughter to a position where she is bringing her father to court to pay for a dent
There was
in a car. Shh.
Sorry.
So far, you're not losing, right?
Oh, that was...
Right?
Right.
In a car that he bought for her.
Yes.
Okay, well, certainly is drivable. I'm not exactly sure where this dent is. Where is it? Back here someplace?
It's in front of the tire, and then there's this scrape that's where you first pointed.
In front of the tire, and then there's a scrape. Okay. Now, did you tell your daughter you would fix the car?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you tell her?
I told her about a body shop that I knew of. I go by pretty regular, and I've seen her work, but I told her I'd fix it, and we'd go by there and get an estimate.
What happened?
Well, first couple times I tried to get her to go over and do it. She had something to do, but then she went over by herself. I was going to meet her over there, and she just didn't like the place for some reason, just wouldn't have anything to do with it.
What happened, Miranda?
I just didn't like it because there's some people that's my age working on it, and I didn't want them to work on my car.
You're not marrying them, my darling. Somebody's going to pull a dent out of your car with a thing that, the plunger that they put on the car.
She actually went twice, and the first time the guy told her to come back, and the second time she went, they were really rude to her.
Well, she's not going to bring the car there. Her father's going to bring the car there. What does she have to go over there for? Why did you go over there instead of letting your father go over there?
So they could get an estimate on the car.
Why didn't you let your father take it over?
Because Mom told me not to let him drive my car.
Why?
Because the insurance, I paid for it, it's in my name and Miranda's name.
So?
And he had already backed into his truck, and no offense, I know his driving record. I was married to him for 18 years. And Miranda could have just met him over there, and she tried to get him to meet him over there, and when she would call,
so wait till you take the car and have it fixed.
Just whenever available.
Well, let's make a date. Not you and me. Miranda, my dear, listen to me very carefully. Your parents don't get along anymore. They're divorced. Be a smart girl. Don't take sides. Nothing is as black and white as it appears. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Your father may not love your mother anymore, but that doesn't mean he doesn't love you. And it's the wrong thing to do to sue him. It's the wrong thing to do to take him to court. It's the wrong thing to do to listen to your mother when she says, don't let your father drive the car. That's malicious. And you shouldn't be involved in that, and you shouldn't put your daughter in that position. Ever. Put a period, move on with your life, and don't visit hostility that you may have through her to him. That's not fair. That's not fair to do to your children. Your father's going to take the car and he's going to have it fixed where he wants to take it, because he's your parent. Do you understand, madam?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. I'm going to do this for you, sir. I'm going to give you 2 weeks from today to fix the car.
That's plenty of time. I'll put that.
2 weeks from today to fix the car. Is that reasonable? Reasonable? Hmm?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you seen your father since this whole brouhaha? Okay. Just remember, he still loves you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And in 2 weeks, he's going to get your car back good as new, and maybe he'll even detail it for you. Give him a hug. Give him a hug. Okay, that's it. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
18-year-old Army reservist Daniel Reese-Wiskovich is suing his ex-girlfriend, 21-year-old waitress Christy Griggs, for a loan to buy a truck and for the return of a shoebox containing important papers.
How old are you, sir?
19.
And you?
21.
She used to be your girlfriend. According to your complaint, she owes you for a car loan that you gave to her. She made partial payment to you of that car loan. You want the rest.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that your agreement was that when she got a settlement, some sort of settlement check, you would take partial payment, and that the remainder of the money that you gave her for her truck was really for money that she had laid out to support you for the time that you were together. Quid pro quo. You also say that she has other personal property that belongs to you, and that personal property was contained in some sort of a shoebox where you kept your papers, including a promissory note that you allege she signed for the money that you gave her. How old were you when you met Miss Griggs?
I was 17.
Were you living at home?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever live together?
Yes, we lived together. She moved in my father's house with me.
Okay, tell me about this loan for the truck.
Okay, well, she was involved in a car accident in the beginning of August of 2003, and she broke her neck in the car accident. So she was out of work for a while, collecting disability and everything. We gave her a place to stay. When it was coming time for her to start driving again, going back to work, she had no vehicle. So we went and looked at some cars, and we were talking about how much I was going to need to loan her, when she could pay me back, how she was going to pay me back.
Well, how did she say she was going to pay you back?
She was going to give me the first check she received for her car being totaled, which is what she paid me with, the first of the $2,400 she did give me towards the loan.
Okay,
So,
and how is she going to pay the rest?
she's going to pay the rest as soon as she received the final settlement, like the lump sum of the settlement from her injuries.
Tell me about this promissory note that you allege.
It was actually, we were on the way home one day from the bank when she did give me the money, and she was giving me cash, so I was like, we need to come up with some kind of way to prove that you did pay me some of this money towards this $6,000. And we agreed, and she's actually the one who wrote out the promissory note, and we both signed the agreement, and I'm going to put it away in my shoebox, which is where I keep all my bills, just real important papers, and that was that.
When did Miss Griggs move out of your father's house?
I believe it was in January sometime when I was getting ready to leave for the Army.
Were you still a couple?
No, ma'am, we were not.
When did that happen?
I believe in January sometime. I was going to be leaving, and it was kind of a mutual thing in a way. So.
And you don't have the promissory note anymore? You
No,
claim
ma'am, I
that
do
she
not.
came and took it?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
You have any witnesses to that?
My father, yes, ma'am.
Step up, sir. Tell me what you know about Miss Griggs and the property that she took from your home.
Well, until this situation happened, I always thought very nice of Christy. You know, she broke her neck, we took her in, we had a hospital bed, and I took care of all the bills. I had no money. All she had to do was come up with her own gas money for her vehicle. I went on vacation with my daughter to North Carolina in July. When I came back, I started cleaning up the room, and there was a couple of shoe boxes. I called her up, arranged a time for her to come over, and she came by. I said, Christy, how are you doing? I said, here's some stuff right here, and she looked at it, grabbed it, went to the car, door was open, she came back in. I can hear her opening the filing cabinet, closing the filing cabinet. You know, at this point in time, I still didn't know about this promissory note. I would have never let that fly to begin with.
Okay. Have a seat, sir. Okay. First of all, you acknowledge he gave you $6,000.
Right.
And he indicates that $2,400 was repaid. Okay, explain to me why you don't owe him for the rest.
Well, from the time that we started dating, he was working little like dead-end jobs like a pizza place and a warehouse, and I would take him to work most of the time. Money that he didn't have, for, like, he wanted to get his car painted, and I gave him money to get the car painted.
You were living for free.
Correct.
According to you, you supported him. You didn't support him. His family supported you.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you take the paperwork from the house in August?
No, ma'am.
Had you signed a promissory note and a note that said that you would repay the $2,400 in cash?
No, ma'am.
So when you gave him the $2,400 in cash, he gave you no receipt, despite the fact that, you know, things happen, relationships can go awry. You weren't concerned.
No, ma'am.
Because you trusted him.
Correct.
Well, he trusted you to pay him back the rest, and you owe him $3,600, and you're going to pay him the $3,600 because that's what you owe him. The rest is nonsense. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,600. That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Warehouse worker Brian Logan is suing his mother, business owner Christine Logan, for evicting him from his deceased great-aunt's home. Christine is countersuing, claiming Brian sold her property without permission.
All right, Mr. Logan, the defendant is your mother.
Correct.
Several years ago, you moved into the house that was owned by your great-aunt. You lived with her for a couple of years. She died.
Correct.
She left the house and its contents to your mother and your mother's sister.
That's being challenged in court.
Well, was there a will?
I had never seen the will.
Is there a will?
Yes.
You wouldn't have a copy of that, would you?
I have parts of it, yes.
I'd like to see it.
This is part of it.
Okay. Is your son's name mentioned anywhere in this will?
Nowhere.
You're Christine?
Yeah, I'm Christine.
And your sister's name is Margot?
That's correct.
Well, they got everything, sir.
That will was made prior to me moving in with her.
So what? What does that have to do with this?
What
It's
is
a
it?
will. Your great aunt left everything to your
Well, see,
mother
we're
and her
contesting
sister.
that, or challenging that. This is my cousin Michael, or actually it's her cousin, that she wasn't in full mental capacity at the time that she
Oh,
put
get
that
a
out.
life, sir. What do you do for a living?
I'm a warehouse worker.
Why would you think, instead of leaving her property to her two nieces, she would leave her property to her great-nephew?
I didn't say that she left it to me. I didn't claim
Well,
that
if
the
she
house
doesn't,
was
if you're not claiming that she left it to you, sir, listen to me. Your great-aunt died,
mine. Right.
and your mother said to you, you know, we have to sell the house. I assume that that's what she said to you at some
That's
point.
correct.
And according to your mother, she gave you some money so that you could find another place to live. Why didn't you just leave?
Because that's not the way it went down. I was given money to buy a truck, was what I was told, for her hitting me in the head with the broom 4 days before she passed away. That's what I was told.
Just a second.
Not me, my aunt.
Just a second. Your mother didn't hit you in the head with a broom.
No.
So who gave you the money?
She gave me the money.
Your mother gave you the money because your great-aunt hit you on the head with a broom before she died?
4 days before she died, yeah.
You better get a life. You better get a real life. Anyway,
life.
this is what you have no life. This is what the lawsuit is about. Put your hand down. Did you actually take care of him when he was growing up?
Yes, I did.
Not really.
Sometimes.
She was
did he
only
have the flu?
16.
Quiet. Did he ever have the flu, pneumonia?
She never did anything for me.
No, she just let you die? So what I'm seeing now is a figment of my imagination. You mean you grew up by yourself?
I had my grandmother and aunts that took care of me. She was very young when she had me.
Who gave you money after your great-aunt hit you in the head with a broom?
She did.
What for?
To help me get a truck to help me move out.
And you took the money? Yes.
Right.
And you're still in the house?
I'm still in the house. I have up
Just
until I have...
shut up!
Okay.
Listen to me. You just answer my questions.
Okay.
How old are you?
38.
38. It's time that you grew up and took care of yourself, not lived with your great-aunt.
And I agree with
got
you.
an apartment, paid rent.
I agree with you.
Paid rent. So why don't you do that?
She's making it more difficult. by
No,
cutting off
sir.
utilities on
You're
me.
making it more difficult.
No.
If you're involved in a lawsuit contesting a will,
Right.
and this is going to become the focus of your life for the next couple of years, you are not taking your life seriously enough, sir, by making yourself an independent, responsible human being. What you're saying is, somebody else is responsible for taking care of me, giving me things. My mother didn't give me the proper notice. She may have given me a couple of $1,000s to move. You took the money, and I don't know what you did with it, but you
Bought the
certainly
truck.
didn't move.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brian Logan says his mother illegally evicted him from his deceased great-aunt's home. Christine Logan says her son is a freeloader.
Mr. Logan, you say she came into the house at some point. She took a fax machine that belonged to you. She acknowledges in her answer she took a fax machine. She said she was trying to get your attention. You can't do that. You have the fax machine?
Yes, I do have it.
He gets it back. Now, there was some other property that he had that was there that you say you took out of the house and you put in storage. What property?
All the stuff he had in my aunt's garage. When he went to jail for making terrorist threats to me, and I have a tape of those threats, he went to jail for 9 days. During the time he was in jail, my husband and son-in-law, we rented a truck, got all his stuff out of the garage, and we put his things into his storage.
So your stuff is in the storage?
She packed my storage like it was a dumpster because she didn't want to have to rent a dumpster to put all the stuff in the house in a dumpster. She packed it. I should have took pictures
Is
of
it there?
No, not all my things are not there.
No. Is the storage
No,
space
the storage
still
is
there?
not still there.
Well, what did you do with all the stuff that was in storage?
I brought it back to the house.
Oh, fine. So then you have to give him back his fax machine. That's the only thing I'm dealing with.
What
Now I'm
about
gonna
my
deal with your-
wallet and
What?
my keys?
Why did you find an apartment? Why don't you grow up and find an apartment? and find a place that you want to say anything to me?
I don't have anything to say.
Perfect. Grow up. Did you sell any of your great aunt's furniture?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Because I needed the money to move out.
Are you getting my drift? Do you hear these people? Now, ordinarily I would say to them that's disrespectful. But do you get the communal groan at your conduct?
No, I don't.
Well, the
'Cause until you
property
walk
was
in my
not
shoes,
left.
you
The
don't know.
property was not left to you.
Before she died, she said I could sell the furniture. I was the one who found her dead. All the way up until she died, I was the one who took care of her. I was the one who fed her. I was the one who made breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She leaned on my shoulder. She knew
How
that
much
this...
did you pay her to cover your expenses every month, Mr. Logan?
It's
not an answer, Mr. Logan.
Yeah, I paid her $100 a month, which she lost.
Show me. Show me.
I don't
Show
have
me.
anything to
Right.
show that I didn't.
100 a month, sir, doesn't take care of 2 goldfish. Now, you said right before she died, she told me I could sell the furniture. Is that what you just said
Yeah.
to me? 5 minutes ago, you told me that she could not have made this will because when she made it, which was well before she gave you the furniture, she was not of sound mind.
Right.
So you're telling me she got better before she died?
No.
Well, then if she wasn't better before she died, sir, then how could she make a bequest to you of the furniture that you sold?
If you
Just
knew
think
her,
of- just
if you
think
knew her,
about-
she wasn't all there. She wasn't all there.
Think about what you just said to me, sir.
I know what I said
You say
to
you
you.
sold the furniture because your aunt told you you could, right?
Right.
And she was of sound mind when she
No.
told you. So then you had no right to sell it.
Now you're
What are
starting
you raising your eyebrows for?
Because now you're starting to sound like her. You're making me confused.
Mr. Logan, on your claim, your mother is going to return to you the fax machine, period. Now, I have to make a judgment on her counterclaim. What did he sell in the house?
3 chairs, a dining room table, a marble coffee table, a mahogany end table.
How much did you get for the property, sir?
$800.
We're going to double that to $1,600 because I don't believe a word he says. The stress and aggravation, you don't get money necessarily for stress and aggravation. Unfortunately, you gave him life. You have to suffer with that. Some kids turn out right, and some kids don't turn out right. If he had a grandmother and aunts who raised him, they all probably, according to him, did a lousy job because he still hasn't been able to take care of himself. He's a big boy and he can't take care of himself. If I were ruler of the world, he would be out on his behind in a second living in his truck. Unfortunately, he's going to torture you. And I hope that the court that's allowing him to torture you will eventually charge him with court costs and levy against his salary for court costs. And I hope that he's going to have to pay a lawyer. And if he doesn't pay the lawyer is going to levy against whatever income he has, because maybe that will be the lesson he needs to learn to grow up, earn your own money, take care of yourself. Don't expect somebody else to take care of you and butter your bread. We understand each other. Judgment on the counterclaim in the amount of $1,600. That's all.
Parties are excused when they step out.
21-year-old student Lisa Neal is suing her ex-roommate, 21-year-old student Silda Nalario, for breaking a lease. Silda says she moved out because Lisa watched her have a drug-induced seizure and did nothing.
Miss Neal, you and the defendant were friends,
Yes,
and at
ma'am.
some point leased an apartment together. Miss Nalario moved out of the apartment, and your lawsuit seeks her share of the rent for the duration of the lease. Miss Nalario is going to explain to me why she believes that your conduct gave her license to move out and why she should not be responsible for the lease. When did you move in together?
We moved in August of 2003.
And how long was the lease?
It was a 12-month lease.
And when did she move out?
She left December '03.
And did she pay December's rent?
Yes, she did.
From December 2003 until August of 2004, who lived in the apartment?
Well, I lived alone until the last month of my lease. I actually found someone to move in with me for July.
Who was
It
that?
was up until June. It was this girl, Jessica, that she just answered an ad.
So it was 6 months that you didn't have a roommate.
Right.
Did you make efforts to locate a roommate?
Yes, I did. I posted flyers and I ran an ad in our school paper, which I have receipts for. I was running it for months on end, but it was a strange time. You know, in the semester, it was in the middle of the semester. Everyone who has a place to live, you know, already has a place to live.
Okay, and what was the entire rent?
The entire rent was $700 a month.
All right, Mr. Lario, now you're going to explain to me why you should not be responsible for the lease.
Okay, we both went camping, and we both ate.
When?
We went camping December 12th, 13th, and 14th. We both ate mushrooms. She wanted to get mushrooms for her birthday. I wanted to get mushrooms for...
You're talking about drugs?
Hallucinogenic mushrooms, yes, ma'am.
So you consumed these drugs?
Yes.
Is it the first time you had done so?
No.
Go ahead, and then?
I came home and I was not eating or sleeping. And my boyfriend at the time was helping take care of me. When he went to work, she would watch me. And I had a seizure, and she did not call the police or call my mother. In fact, she told my boyfriend at the time that she would not tell my mother about the seizure if he would not tell. And I have on many occasions when she's been drunk, I have taken care of her and made sure that men did not take advantage of her. And I have made sure that she did not choke on her puke and whatever else. And I just felt that she was not my friend. And okay, so my mother came up and took me to the hospital.
Anything you want to say?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm here to listen to you.
My daughter had a psychotic episode.
Absolutely right.
Yes.
You know why she had a psychotic episode?
Yes, because she consumed mushrooms.
Right.
She made a mistake.
Right.
She realizes that.
So? What does that have to do with this rent?
She was not able to function for like 6 or 7 months after this happened.
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
It's her fault. She realized.
It's her fault.
Yes, that's correct.
It's her fault. It's not her fault.
Correct.
So why shouldn't she pay her half of the rent? Why should she get stuck with her half of the rent?
Perhaps if Lisa had been a little bit more responsible and when she had her seizure, that she could have died. Thank God she didn't.
She didn't die.
No. But Lisa was with her. If she had just pushed 911 on the phone.
How would that have changed the psychotic episode?
Perhaps she would have gotten to care quicker and would not have been in the hospital and requiring so much help as long as she did.
If my father had been taller and my mother would have been statuesque, I would have been 5'7". Your daughter voluntarily went to a place, purchased drugs, not for the first time, took the drugs, and had a bad reaction. And I hear a lot of blaming of other people, but I don't hear her saying it's my responsibility that I got sick because I shouldn't have taken the drugs.
That's correct, Your Honor. But when I found out that she couldn't go back to school, I went up there and I emptied out her room so that Lisa could get a roommate.
Well, it's her responsibility to find her a roommate, not hers.
She was not competent.
She's your daughter. It's not her responsibility. She's tried to get a roommate. She can't just say I'm absolving myself of liability because she didn't take care of me the way I think a friend should.
Correct.
This is a business arrangement. Business. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,100. That's all.
While he's excused, you may step out.
Bus driver Goldie Asplund is suing antique dealer Brian Mays for medical bills resulting from his negligence. Goldie claims she developed a staph infection after she pricked her finger with a pin.
Miss Asplund, it is your claim that the defendant sold you something, and as a result of him selling you something, which you will describe to me, you stuck your finger and got an infection. You want him to pay you $5,000 for your medical bills and all your pain and suffering, etc.
Yes.
Mr. Mays thinks that you're just a scam artist.
That's right.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Reading between the lines. So what did you buy from Mr. Mays? Where did you buy it? When did you buy it? And what happened to you?
February 28th, 2004. Excuse me. I went to the Danish American Center with my mom in South Minneapolis. There was an antique sale going on. We entered the hall where the sale was. There were all kinds of tables set up with all kinds of odds and ends. There was a big round table of loose jewelry. Some was bagged, and I found a bag of jewelry beads.
Of jewelry beads? How did you know that they were beads?
It said broken pieces on it.
The bag said broken pieces?
Broken pieces on tape, yes.
Was this in a clear bag? Was it in
a clear bag?
It was in a clear bag. What were you going to do with broken pieces of jewelry?
Arts and crafts. I have 3 kids, and we do little hobbies.
So you could see what was inside?
For the most part.
Okay, so go ahead.
I get home, I sat down at my coffee table with my children, and I stuck my hand in the bag, and I was poked by a needle. I got up, and I went upstairs, and I washed my hand. My thumb was bleeding a little bit. And I went downstairs, and I grabbed this big crystal ashtray that I have. I took the bag, and I emptied it out. And there were 5 loose needles in there, in this bag of beads, where there should not have been needles. As the day progressed, I'd thrown them out, too. I didn't want my kids messing with them, so I threw it out. As the day progressed, that night I had a blood blister where I was poked by the jewelry, or by the needle. And the next day, I woke up with flu-like symptoms, sweating. I felt like nauseous, like I was going to throw up. And I had red lines going up to my armpit. I wasn't going to go to the hospital because I don't have medical. My mom came over. She said, you have to go to the hospital. My thumb was totally swollen up in the red lines. She said, it looks like you have a blood infection. I went to the hospital. They took me straight back into the emergency room, started an IV, and when they got the IV going after a couple hours, they brought me up to the hospital, gave me a hospital bed.
Okay, so you stayed in the hospital for a day and a half according to your complaint, is that right?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Goldie Asplin says antique dealer Brian Mays owes for her medical bills resulting from his negligence. Brian says Goldie is trying to scam money.
Now, tell me what happened.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I have been in the antique business for 35 years. I have a very reputable name in the antique business. On February 27th, 28th, 29th of 2004, I conducted a sale at the Danish Center, and I had several tables in the center of the room. There were several bags, maybe a half a dozen bags, with possibly maybe 6, 8 earrings.
I got it.
And other things. But everything else was single items in bags. I had no broken jewelry there. She had called me up on March 15th, and she called me up and said, did you have the sale? And I said, I did. She said, do you have insurance? And I said, why do you ask? And she said that she had come to my sale, and she was going through the loose jewelry on the card table, poked her finger with a brooch, gone home, got blood infection, ended up in the hospital, almost died, and the doctor said that I should have to pay her $4,000 medical bills.
Okay, so she told you that she was going through the loose jewelry on the table
tables,
and
which have a
poked her finger.
photograph. Right.
Okay.
And then I said, no, I don't. She said, okay, goodbye. And in October, I received papers from Hennepin County Court, and she had changed her story. And come to find out, after I had talked with her on March 15th, I called up my cashier, and I said, do you believe that this woman is doing this to me? And she said, well, you know what? I worked a sale for another fellow, his name is Steve, and she tried doing the same thing for him. She tried suing him, and after she couldn't sue him, she came after me.
Step up. What is your name, sir?
Steve O'Hearn.
Did you try to sue Mr. O'Hearn?
Can I
The answer is
explain
either
what
yes or
happened?
no.
No.
Tell me what you know, Mr. O'Hearn.
She called me approximately March 12th, stated she had been to my sale and bought a bag of jewelry, went home, stuck her hand in the bag of jewelry. There was a brooch in there.
Okay.
And
Not a needle.
Not a needle.
Okay.
I didn't hear needle till today, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
She told me she pricked her finger, got blood poisoning, and wanted me to pay the bill. I said, you're probably going to run me into financial ruin. I said, first thing you need to do is get your receipts so I can see what estate it exactly was from. She called me back about a half hour later, stated to me that she had her receipt, and told me if I'm going to go bankrupt or financial ruins, that she would, there's no sense in her suing.
So how did you get to Mr. Mays?
Through the Danish American Center's log that they had. Whoever rented the hall, they had a log of the name and number. The guy that took down the information, I gave him February 28th, and he was looking at a date before that. The wrong dates. That's why he gave me Mr. O'Hearn's name and number. And Mr. O'Hearn freaked out on me, started cussing me out and stuff. You know, I apologized to him for getting his undies in a bunch. I didn't mean to do that, and he kept hanging up on me. And so I called Brian Mays back and found out, you know, he was the right one on the date, February 28th. He was the one that rented the hall. So I called him, and I told him what happened, and I asked him if he had liability insurance, because
He doesn't need liability insurance. He should have been more careful.
There shouldn't have been needles in a jewelry bag.
I don't believe there were any needles in there. I don't believe there were needles in there. I believe you may have stuck yourself on a pin that was part of a piece of jewelry, and you're making up a better story.
No, I wouldn't come.
Oh, yes, you did.
No,
oh,
I
yes,
don't
you
think
did.
so.
Oh, yes, you did. Because anybody that buys a bag of loose, broken jewelry, even if it's in a plastic bag, would take it and dump it, as you ultimately did in an ashtray. So if you, in fact, you stuck yourself on a broken piece of jewelry, not a needle. And that's what you purchased, and you should have been more careful. And don't blame anybody but yourself. You have to be careful and accept responsibility for what you do, madam. Not everything is a lawsuit. If you buy a bag that says broken pieces of jewelry, you're supposed to be more careful. Your case is dismissed. That's all. Thank you very much.
Please excuse me.
22-year-old restaurant manager Pirapon Pontupo is suing fellow motorist, paralegal April Montañez, for assaulting her during an incident of road rage. April claims Pirapon tried to spray her with mace.
Come to order. All rise. Yes, case number 365 on the calendar in the matter of Pontupo versus Montañez. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Ms. Pontupo, it is your claim that Ms. Montañez assaulted you during a road rage incident.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Montañez said she never touched you. Tell me where and when this happened.
On September 4th, 2004, me and my boyfriend, Michael Cheney, picked up my 16-year-old brother, and we were on our way to lunch.
Stop playing with your papers.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, now tell me what happened with the defendant.
I was in the middle lane trying to make a left turn into the shopping center where the restaurant is located on. And then I noticed a truck behind me, a dark blue Ford F-150. Miss Montañez was the driver of the truck, kept honking constantly at me, but I wasn't going to go because I wasn't going to get into a wreck. And then when I finally made the turn, she came really fast right after me. And I thought she was going to hit me. The front of her bumper was, like, right by my driver's side door. And my window was down at the time, and we exchanged a few profanities.
Who said what first?
I said, "What the?" And she started screaming all kinds of bad words at me. And then she reached into my car, grabbed me by my hair, and I felt a couple of punches, and I felt as if she was trying to pull me out of my car by my hair. My boyfriend saw that, and he said, "What is your F problem?" And then he got out of the car, ran around my car. Then Miss Montañez saw him coming toward her, so she ran back to her truck. And then my boyfriend then made the 911 call with the tech number, which I have the 911 transcript.
May I see it, please? Okay. Now, after she got back into the car, what did she do?
She parked on the front of the coin laundry and took out her laundry basket as if nothing happened and was going to start doing her laundry. And I was really shocked at the time. And then my boyfriend got back in the car, and then I can see the other two passengers in her truck, which is that lady and a man in the late 20s or early 30s in her passenger seat. I can see them trying to motion her back in the truck like it's not safe to be here anymore. And then they drove off, and I was so mad after I realized what happened to me. I start following them into the parking lot. And after I follow them to a quarter mile, my boyfriend is still on the 911 call at this time. He told me, he said, "It's okay, it's okay."
Okay, I got it. Now, did you seek medical treatment at any time for your injuries?
Yes.
Do you have a doctor's report?
No, I couldn't get in touch with him.
Okay. Tell me the way you felt.
I couldn't go to sleep. I couldn't lay on my left side because my head was hurting really bad, and I get the severe headaches.
How long did that last?
I would say a little bit over a week, and I couldn't go to work for a week because of it.
Okay, Ms. Montañez, you want to tell me your version of the events, please?
We were on Singleton Road. It was my daughter's birthday that day, and I had to go to the laundromat to pick up some laundry. And there was a lot of cars going by at the moment when I stopped behind her, and I could see down because my truck is up high, and I could see down, and you could hear their music because it was kind of a warm day, and our windows were down. And I saw her talking to some individual, the passenger in the car, but I figured she just got caught up in her music, like all teenagers, and talking. So I honked my horn.
She's not a teenager.
Well, she looked like one at the time, but she was having a conversation. I honked my horn to let her know to go. She got mad. She stuck her hand out the window and did a profanity and called me an F and B. So I turned in before her into the shop.
Just a second. So what you did is you went around her.
Correct.
Keep going.
I pulled in front of her, and then I made the left turn and parked right in front of the laundromat because there's like an island right there where you can park. I got out of the truck. We started arguing, cursing at each other and everything, and my sister got out of the truck, and I was just like, ugh, I don't have time to deal with this, because I thought they were teenagers. So I turned around and was going to go in the laundromat, didn't even make it in the laundromat, and I heard my sister screaming, April, April, come on. And I turned around. When I turned around, I saw her boyfriend with rings in his nose, and just the way he looked, it scared me like a skinhead, and I'm like, oh my God, let's get in the car. So I jump in the truck. When I'm getting in the truck, she has her mace gun. We have a 14-day-old baby in the truck. It was myself, the baby, and then my sister. She's going through the window and she's doing all like this, but for some oddball reason, the mace had stuck. And my sister's rushing to roll the window up in case she did unstick it. And I said, oh my God, Stephanie, let's go. This is crazy. I can't believe this. I put my truck in reverse, and I backed out, and I went back the same way I come in. She come behind me and was following me, and I was going at a fast-paced speed to get away from her because it scared me.
When did you call the police?
I didn't call the police.
Right. You're telling me that someone tried to mace you in your car with a little tiny baby in the car, following you, a lunatic, and you never called the police?
Well, Your Honor, the reason why I didn't call the police is because I saw her boyfriend. When I was coming back to my truck, he was talking to the 911 officer.
Now, why
and he said, write her tag number down.
Why would you think they would call 911, and at the time they called the police, this is what they reported. They didn't know the person, got mad when they were making a turn into PL. She started screaming, went around, got out, and hit the female in the face and pulled her hair while screaming at the female. He didn't say they're having a screaming match, didn't say anybody took out mace. Said, my girlfriend got punched in the face and got her hair pulled, and we don't know who this person is.
And the reason why I didn't call at the time, Your Honor, I did not have my cell phone. I was just nervous, and I was ready to get out of there.
Very good. Now, what?
I have a police report from this incident, and she told a totally different story.
Can I see the police report, please?
To the police. It's a totally different story.
You want to speak? You want to be very careful about what you say. You're the sister, right? Mm-hmm. You're the reason that they didn't follow up and press charges because you confirmed her story. Is that right? Mm-hmm. I want to tell you something. I'm smarter than the police. So you want to risk it? Get up. We understand each other? That requires an answer, yes or no?
Yes.
Do you understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you choose to stand up and testify, or would you like to remain in your seat?
I like to testify.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She beeped the horn. They had me.
How many times did she beep the horn?
It was like 2 or 3 times for her to go.
2 or 3 times. Your sister told me she beeped the horn only once.
And later today,
I accepted the gift if he would stop doing drugs and drinking. He did not.
You were better off without opening your mouth. You were better off just standing there and looking gorgeous.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Pirapon Pontupo says she was assaulted in a parking lot by fellow motorist April Montanez. Pirapon says April tried to pull her out of her car by her hair.
Your name?
Stephanie.
You have a last name?
Imes.
You want to tell me the story?
It's pretty much what my sister said.
It's pretty much what your sister said?
We were going to Kroger's. She was in front of my sister. It was busy coming traffic. She beeped the horn. They had music.
How many times did she beep the horn?
It was like 2 or 3 times for her to go.
2 or 3 times? Your sister told me she beeped the horn only once.
It was like 2 or 3 times for her to go, like a rapid beep for her to go.
So it was 2 or 3 times, but it was like 1 time because it was so fast.
Yeah, it's like a rapid beep.
Right.
Okay. So they had the music going. She beeped the horn. She leaned out of the car. She flicked her off and said some stuff, some cuss words. My sister went ahead because no cars were coming. She went in front of the lady. The car came in behind us. We turned to go towards the laundromat. My sister parked next to the little island. The laundromat is right across from the car. My sister got out of the car. They were arguing back and forth, cussing at each other. Then my sister, I kind of stood out to hear what was going on. My sister walked into the laundromat. I got back in the truck.
Did she carry anything into the laundromat?
I think she had some...
Just a second. Look at me. Did she carry anything into the laundromat?
Yes.
What did she take out of the car?
It was some outfits, I guess. Yes.
Were the outfits in a basket?
No.
No. No basket?
No.
Just things in her hand?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what were you going to the laundromat for?
To pick up some clothes, and I think she had to dry clean the clothes that she had for the party. But at the time that I was waiting for my sister, this female came up to the truck as I got back in. She had some mace in her hand, and she was trying to...
Was that before or after your sister hit her?
She didn't hit her.
Yes, she did. Sit down.
Your Honor,
yes, she did. Oh, yes, she did. She hit her, and she pulled her hair. And she was really annoyed. You want to know why I know she was really annoyed? Because she had a 2-week-old baby in the car, and instead of sitting there waiting for traffic to move, she sped up around and went around a car that was waiting to make a left turn and pulled out in front of her. That's something that someone does who has no judgment. And they only do it when they're annoyed.
No, ma'am. I didn't
I didn't ask you anything. I listened to you. You know, there's an old expression. If it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Because we've all drivers have been in the same situation that you were in. Sometimes you're behind somebody, and for some reason, they don't make a turn when they're supposed to. The arrow is green, they're waiting, they're talking, they're involved in the phone, they're listening, they're daydreaming, and you're looking and you're saying, that's the only shade of green there's going to be, right? Why isn't this person going? If you have a short fuse, you'll honk the horn a few times, and if that's not successful, you'll peel out, which is what you did. You peeled out with a baby in the car, went around her in order to make a left turn because you thought that there was a clear enough avenue of traffic so that you could make the turn. I believe everything that she says. You had a bad hair day.
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah,
Can
you
I
did.
show you a disposition
Your sister
of a
got you
jury?
back into the... Listen to me. And your sister got you back into the car because you both saw the boyfriend on the phone with the police. That's what you just told me. A moment ago you said, I didn't have to call the police because I knew they were calling the police. And if you knew they were calling the police, then you stay there and wait for the police. You don't take off. What you just told me was, I didn't call the police because of this mace, thinking fast, because he was calling the police. And if somebody is calling the police, and if you are a victim of a crime, you remain there with the doors locked, windows up, you don't get out to go and take your clothes into the dry cleaners.
Because none of this took place, Your Honor. We just argued. We had our words.
Madam, I don't
She tried to get me...
Madam, I don't believe you. And I don't believe
can I bring
your sister.
something else to evidence?
Absolutely. Show it to me.
Okay, I have a disposition of a hearing when she tried to file simple battery and simple assault charges, and we went to Gwinnett County courts, and they were dismissed for insufficient evidence as well. Because in the police report, it says that the police officer, there was no physical evidence on the victim other than a few strands of hair that was allegedly pulled out by the suspect.
Listen to me, madam. She's not saying you broke her skin.
But there would have been swelling or something for the officer. This never took place, Your Honor.
I'm telling you, it took place, madam.
It didn't.
Listen, because you got over on a cop, and because you got over, perhaps on a district attorney, you and your sister, who wouldn't know the truth if it came up and slapped her in the face, doesn't mean that I have to believe you. Your story doesn't make sense. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I insulted her race. She insulted mine. She told me she was going to get me.
The defendants, it's worse than a piece of dog.
If you would have saw her boyfriend, like 6 foot tall, earrings, a dragon tattoo on his neck.
He's 6'2", but he also weighed as much as she does, which is they both weighed 185 pounds.
I was just in a rush to get out of there because in Atlanta, people have been shot by road rage.
It's just that she's a lying...
And now the next case. Retail worker Lamore Guberman is suing her ex-boyfriend, imaging consultant James Sutton, for his share of a cruise and for smashing her cell phone in a fit of anger.
Yeah, this is case number 399 on the calendar in the matter of Guberman versus Sutton. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
Miss Guberman, you and Mr. Sutton dated briefly, according to what I read in your complaint. and you no longer see each other socially, but you claim that he owes you for two things. First, he owes you for a cruise that the two of you went on. You claim that he was supposed to pay you back for his ticket, and he did not. And second, you say that you got into an argument with him and he smashed your cell phone.
Correct.
Who is this?
This is my friend, Monique.
Is this the friend who was supposed to go on the cruise?
No.
Does she know about the cruise?
Yeah.
Miss Guberman, when was the cruise, and you were supposed to go with a girlfriend, is that right?
Correct.
When were you supposed to leave?
The end of November, I think it was, last year.
The questions are going to get harder. That's what this case is about. So let's try to get it together and focus. November of 2003. November what?
About November 17th, approximately. I forget the exact date.
And how long had you been planning this trip with a girlfriend?
Approximately a few months, maybe 3 months.
Who bought the tickets?
I charged it on my credit card.
Why didn't she charge her own ticket?
Oh no, well, we both paid a deposit, but then when she wasn't going...
Just a sec. You were supposed to go with a girlfriend, she backed out. You started to date him, and he went on the cruise instead of the girlfriend who got pregnant. That's the story, right?
Because I still want to go.
Okay, just a second. We're going to do this in faster pace because I have other things to do today, Miss Guberman. November 17th, 2003, you were supposed to go on a cruise with the girlfriend. She had put a deposit down on her own credit card?
Correct.
How much of a deposit did she put down?
$250.
And how much was the whole cruise?
$1,092 each.
Now, how much had she paid towards the trip?
The $250.
Only?
Only.
She was going to lose that. Is that right?
No, she didn't lose it. The cruise line, they credited her credit card back. And then they charged me the whole, the whole remaining balance for the cruise.
When did you make that arrangement with them? When did she make that arrangement, sir? She's having difficulty. Do you remember?
Well, actually, ma'am, first thing, good morning, ma'am. The cruise was November 30th, to tell you the truth. It wasn't November 17th. The cruise was November 30th. I met her in September. I spoke with her on the party line, which is a line that you chat with and you meet people.
I don't care if you met her on a party line or J dating.
Okay.
Mr. Sutton, when did she invite you to go on the trip?
Well, a week after, like a week and a half after we met.
In September?
Yes.
What did she tell you?
She told me her friend was supposed to go on a cruise with her, and she bailed out. So she asked me, she was looking for a companion to go with her. And once we met, we engaged in some sexual relationships. And,
I'm not interested in that.
Okay, I understand. And she said to me, she said, would you like to go on a cruise? At first, I was kind of reluctant to go in because we had just met. And then I was like, all right, fine. Then she says, well, I'm just going to charge it on my credit card. And we went on a cruise.
Did you discuss paying her back for it?
Not at all, ma'am, Your Honor.
Well, what happened after you went on this cruise on November 30th, sir?
We were still talking in a friendship manner. Then we pretty much, kind of went our own separate ways at that time because we both made an agreement to be friends before we even went on a cruise.
Tell me about the agreement.
Actually, when we met on the party line, the same day
What? You said you had an agreement that you were going to be friends when you came back from the cruise. I don't know what that
This is before the cruise.
That you were going to be friends?
Yes. She said we made an agreement that we just rather be friends at a relationship and not wouldn't work out.
And that was before you went on the cruise?
That was before we went on the cruise.
How much before?
2 months before.
Well, then why in the world would she pay for you?
I don't know.
I mean, that I don't understand. I mean, I can understand if she wanted you as her companion on the cruise and you had an intimate relationship and you were going to enjoy all of the activities together. Then I could understand her saying, listen, I want to have a date on this cruise. That's my insurance. But I don't understand it if the two of you really had parted ways in respect to being a boyfriend and a girlfriend and you were just going on as buddies.
Well, it wasn't pretty much still as buddies. It was pretty much both of us were still in the air. There was still some fire there. It was still in the air.
Some fire?
Yes.
Did you ever buy Miss Guberman anything?
Well, I gave her a bracelet once.
Did you? Was it a nice bracelet?
Yes, it is, ma'am.
You still have it, Miss Guberman? You're trying to think.
No, I have it. It's broken. He said he found it.
You found it?
I did.
I said, so did you ever buy her anything?
Yes, I did. I bought her several things.
Tell me.
Some stuff for her birthday from
Like
Victoria's
what?
Secrets, like T-shirts, lotion.
What else?
When we went on the cruise, I bought her a couple dresses.
Okay, that's nice. Did he do that?
Yes, but the lotion he bought me, he took back and wrote on my car with it. So, you know, I don't have the lotion and the perfume he bought for my birthday. He took it back.
Lamore Guberman says she met ex-boyfriend James Sutton on a party chat line. Lamore claims James owes for his share of a cruise and for smashing a cell phone.
When you came back from the cruise, when did you ask him for money?
Just whenever he had, I said, can I, you know, you pay me back when you have it. So he was making payments.
Did he give you any money?
Yes, $550 altogether.
Is that right, sir?
Not at all.
Show me.
He paid cash, but I just have, like I marked it on the calendar. So before going on the cruise, I think he gave me $100. And then on here, this is like where it's highlighted. I have how much he gave, all the payments that he gave me. So I would keep track of it.
I don't believe this. I don't believe it. There are several reasons why I don't believe it. First of all, I don't know anybody who uses the same pen on a day calendar. In order for you to use the same pen on a day calendar just for certain entries, you have to be a really organized person. You have several different pens for certain things. You have dark blue pen, you have a light blue pen, but for the money that you allege that he gave you, different weeks, different months, etc., you used the same pen. So you had a Mr. Sutton return of money pen?
No, actually, I kept a particular pen by my calendar. And if, for instance, like if I had made an appointment on the phone or something and there was a pen somewhere else in the house, I would take that and write the appointment down. But that, I mean, I have similar pens, it's different, same color.
Give this back to her. Those calendars come under the category of baloney, Miss Guberman. Now you want to get to the cell phone?
Well, we had gotten to an argument on the way back from the mall.
When?
In October, the 4th.
October of what year?
This year.
2004?
Correct.
So you were still seeing each other, had contact with each other a year later?
Correct.
Okay.
And actually, when we officially broke up, that's when he stopped paying for the cruise, but...
What happened, Miss Guberman, in October
We were on the way back from the mall, and we were going to go to my house, and then we got into an argument at the mall. On the way back, you know, he said, take me home. So I was proceeding to take him home, and then he asked me, oh, well, we're going to your house. I said, no, you want to go home? I'm taking you home. So when he realized I was taking him home, I had to stop at a stop sign, and as soon as I stopped at the stop sign, he grabbed my shifter, threw it in park, got out the car, grabbed the phone, smashed it on the ground, and then walked off and left me with a broken shifter, and I was just standing there until someone came and helped put my shifter back together because I couldn't move.
Let's hear it.
All I can say is just a bunch of Taurus species.
What?
Taurus species.
What is that?
A Taurus is a bull and feces is...
Oh. Mr. Sutton. Mr. Sutton.
Yes.
Just tell me what happened, sir. Try not to editorialize or be witty.
Pretty much.
Or, it doesn't to be, or be witty or be smart. I reserve that all to myself.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry, man, Your Honor.
Just tell me what happened in the car.
Well, nothing happened because I wasn't with her.
Oh, my God. Were you still involved in any kind of a relationship, including friends, in October of 2004?
No, I wouldn't even talk to her. She was coming down to my job, stalking me, sitting in my parking lot at my job. She would call me, like, pretty much all day on my cell phone, beat my cell phone up, leave all types of messages.
You have any proof of that?
Well, I can't really save that on there, ma'am. Somebody else calls me.
Do you know anything about this case?
Yes, I do.
Step up. Who are you?
I'm Monique Taylor. I'm Lamore's friend of 14 years.
Go ahead.
The night of her cell phone that was broken, he was with her. Because, you know, she doesn't hold anything back from me, and usually when things happen, she calls me because we're close friends. And he was with her that night that the cell phone was broken.
What was she doing with him?
Your Honor,
No, I'm asking you, what would she do? If she tells you everything, she doesn't, listen to me. If she doesn't hold anything back from you,
right?
What was she doing with him?
I guess just hanging out with him. You know, they went to the mall together, from my understanding, and, you know, he wanted to go home with her, and he was told no. And
Why did she go to the mall
very
with him?
angry.
Who's angry?
James. He's a very angry individual because there's times other things has happened, and she has called me about it and, you know, talked to me. And I always be telling her to leave him alone, but...
She doesn't leave him alone. Right?
Right.
She calls him?
Occasionally, but not. It's been like since the cell phone incident, it hasn't been too many phone calls.
Before the cell phone incident?
Yes.
She'd call him a lot?
I wouldn't say a lot, because I would, you know, try to convince her not to keep continuously calling him and, you know, just leave it alone.
But she didn't listen?
No, she didn't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I understand that from your perception as a father, your daughter disrespected you.
Right.
I agree with you. Did the wrong thing.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lamore Guberman says she met ex-boyfriend James Sutton on a party chat line. Lamore claims James owes for his share of a cruise and for smashing a cell phone.
So, Mr. Sutton, I sort of believe that you were in the car with her and broke her cell phone. You want to know why I believe that, Mr. Sutton? I believe that you were really annoyed that she keeps bothering you on the phone. There's a logical extension to breaking her phone. Do you understand?
I understand what you're saying, but...
Good. How much was your phone?
Altogether was $194.99.
Let me see.
And this is the phone.
But, Mr. Sutton, I do not believe, sir, that you agreed to pay her for this cruise. I think that she met you, she wanted a date on the cruise, she invited you to go along, and there was absolutely no mention of you paying her back. And that was over a year ago. And you still didn't pay her back. And she's still with you, in the car, going to the mall. Right?
Right, that's part of the reason why I would call him, is to ask, can you pay me some money? Are you going to give me some money?
No. No. Not for somebody who's violent. You don't call somebody violent for that reason.
Because it was on my credit card. And
You met him in September, you invited him to go on a cruise in September. Mr. Sutton doesn't look like the kind of person who becomes instantly infatuated.
Oh, that's a lie.
Well, maybe yes, maybe no. He certainly seems like a cool enough character to me. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $194.99. That's for the cell phone. The cruise, you're on your own. That's
Can I say one thing?
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Oh my God, I didn't finish. I guess if I get back together with him, he'll pay me the rest of it, then we can break up, you know, something like that.
She's a very sarcastic person. You know, she doesn't know how to take anything serious.
The sparks were kind of fizzling at the end, but he was trying to make the sparks come back.
She just got hypnotized by me. That's all that was.
He was a bad seed once I just knew the things he was doing.
What was done was done. I mean, just move on, that's all.
And now the next case. Chiropractor Dr. Richard Perry is suing nursing assistant Felissa Carlton for the cost to fix his Jeep Cherokee and for pain and suffering due to a car accident. Felissa says the accident was Richard's fault.
Yeah, this is case number 333 on the calendar, the matter of Perry versus Carlton. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir.
Mr. Perry, Miss Carlton, according to you, caused an accident.
That's correct, Your
Caused
Honor.
an accident causing damage to your car and injury to you.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Miss Carlton says that there was a merge, you wouldn't let her in, and once she got in, you accelerated. So the accident was your fault. You really weren't injured at all. You just behaved very badly. So you want to tell me first when this happened?
This occurred on July 26th of 2004, Your Honor.
That's your diagram. I'd like you to show me your car.
My car would be back here, Your Honor.
The red.
The defendant would be the blue car here.
So she was merging in behind a truck and in front of you.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Tell me what happened.
Well, we were proceeding westbound on Main Street, and this lane where you see the defendant is actually not a lane. It is a lane that has been merged into a right turn lane. What happened was she came from about 4 cars back, She decided to come
4
up.
cars back, so she was behind
The
purple car.
She was actually in the left-hand lane about 4 cars back.
And how do you know that?
I saw her in my right rear view mirror.
So she came out of that lane, the same lane that you were in.
That's correct, Your Honor. Came down this center lane, which is blocked off because of construction, ran over this cone here, actually, behind this truck. We were moving at approximately 15 to 20 miles an hour. She then cut in very sharply behind the truck right in front of me, which was only about 5 feet distance. At that point in time, I had no options. I didn't have any reaction time. I ran over her rear end, which caused my right front end to go up over her rear end, causing my car to tilt to the left and then bounce back down.
What kind of car were you driving?
I'm driving a Jeep Cherokee, Your Honor.
And Miss Carlton?
Miss Carlton was driving a little Echo, Toyota Echo.
So your car actually went up on top of hers?
It actually went up on her wheel and came back down, Your Honor.
The whole back of the car?
No,
or
on her left rear quarter panel, where her tire is. It actually went up over it. There were scuff marks on her left rear quarter panel from my tire.
So the side?
Yes.
Of her car?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
At that point, I was thrown over to the side. When the car came back, I jammed my head on the door jamb. At that point, I honked and started honking vigorously. She stuck her hand out the window and waved at me and took off.
Where did she take off?
She took off into this left-hand lane, which proceeded left. At that point, there's an overpass at that point that goes over the freeway. On the other side of the overpass, there's a baker's restaurant. In that restaurant, she finally pulled into the restaurant. I pulled in, blocked her from turning out towards the left to get back on another street. And at that point, she stopped, exited her car, very profoundly said, "What are you doing?" I signaled, "What the are you doing?" And at that point, I asked her for her driver's license, her registration, and proof of insurance. She said, "I'm not giving you anything." At that point, she took a young child, it appeared to be a young male, out of the back seat of the car.
Is that what she said? I'm not giving you anything?
I'm not giving you anything. And she took this young male, which had not been seat belted in. There was no car seat in that car. She
How
took
old
him
was
into
the child?
About 4 or 5 years old, Your Honor.
Okay.
She took him into the restaurant, was in there for about 10 minutes. In the meantime, I'm calling the police, reporting what was going on. She comes back out of the restaurant with food and the child. About 10 minutes later, a gentleman shows up, identifies himself as her husband, and proceeds to start cussing at me and yelling at me, and tells me that he's going to kick my and take care of me. And at that point in time, I walked away from them, again calling the police, telling them that this had escalated into an adversary situation and I needed help. We waited for about another 10 to 15 minutes. He talked with the defendant got in her car, and they drove away.
And you got their license?
The only thing I was able to get was the license plate off of her car.
So that's how you tracked it down?
I attempted to track it through the DMV, who, through multiple things, they decided you can't do that. They would notify her to notify me, which she had already decided not to give me that information.
Now, according to your complaint, sir, you were injured. I'd like you to tell me how you were injured.
I was having a lot of neck pain. I was having severe headaches. I went to see doctor, recognized that this was a whiplash injury.
Listen to me. What kind of work do you do, sir?
I'm a chiropractor, Your Honor.
Okay. And who's Dr.?
Doctor is a chiropractor.
A colleague of yours?
Yes.
Okay. How many days were you out of work, sir, after the 26th?
I was not out of work, Your Honor.
Good. How much damage did you have done to your car?
About $100 worth of damage.
Do you have?
I have
receipt?
the estimates of the damages to my car, Your Honor.
Okay.
Exhibit 3.
Okay. May I see it, please?
Exhibit 3.
Exhibit 3. So this whole thing was $62.31. That was the damage to your car?
The end caps on my bumper and the stabilizer, Your Honor, yes.
Is there anything else other than Exhibit 3?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. You work 5 days a week, sir?
I work 6 days a week, Your Honor.
Okay. And you didn't miss any work?
I didn't miss any work, but I did work in pain.
I'm sure your doctor friend was able to help you.
Yes. Yes, very definitely.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did you ask the owner of the restaurant if you could use the phone to call the police?
No.
And if somebody is attacking you, you do that, right?
Right. And I did.
And you didn't. You got hamburger and fries.
No, I didn't.
And later today,
How much was the bail?
$550. I said, can you come and pay it, and I'll pay you at least half of it that day.
You just told me that you had the money. All you had to do
I
was
had
be
half
able to.
of the money.
I'm speaking.
Sorry.
Remember what I said to you before? If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Dr. Richard Perry claims he was injured due to a car accident caused by Felissa Carlton. Felissa says Richard is a hothead.
All right, Miss Carlton, I want you to tell me what happened, madam.
I proceeded to merge onto the left lane, and I looked over my shoulder. There was plenty of room, so I decided to keep going. And as I was proceeding, I heard an acceleration, and then I felt a slight bump. It didn't seem bad, so that's why I was like, because I was trying to say, it's okay, don't worry about it. But he honked, and he was raging, and so I didn't pull over right away until I got into Baker's, because there was no way I could pull over. We were going over the pass. So when I pulled over, I'm sorry, but he's the one who asked, what the F do you think they're doing? I tried to talk to him. I tried to calm him down. I said, my kids are in the car. And he says, I don't give an F. Who's in the car with you? And I couldn't calm him down. I couldn't talk to him. I couldn't give him any information.
Did he ask you for your license, registration, and insurance?
No, ma'am.
He did not?
No.
That would be odd.
I couldn't talk to him.
No. Ms. Carlton, I don't believe that.
I'm sorry.
I don't believe that. All right, sir. You want to step up?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Your wife called you and said she had been in an accident?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were those her exact words?
Well, what happened when she called me, she told me that she was just in an accident, and while she's talking to me, I heard the plaintiff cussing in the background, yelling at my wife, and I tried to get her, explain to me what happened, and she's trying to tell him to calm down, and so she could talk to me. And she said he's acting like a child. He won't exchange information. And I have the kids with me, so I immediately left work and I went to see what was going on.
So why didn't you give him a license, registration, and insurance?
I asked him. I said, "Well, is there anything you'd like to tell me that you were telling my wife?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "You're an idiot." Well, at that point, I told him in not so many nice.
Why didn't you just give him your license, registration, and insurance?
Because my wife had told me she had already tried that, and he was not cooperating.
Well, why didn't you try it, sir?
Well, at that point, I was there to take care of my wife, who was being attacked by an angry man.
He wasn't attacking her when you got there, was he?
He was on the phone when I heard him.
He was not attacking her when you got there, was he?
That's right. No, he was not.
And she had already been in the restaurant with your son.
Right.
Is that right? Gotten food, right?
Yes.
And when you went into the restaurant and you got the food, did you ask the owner of the restaurant if you could use the phone to call the police?
No.
And if somebody is attacking you, if somebody is acting like a lunatic, you do that, right? You call the police and you say, somebody is out there, I'm afraid, right?
Right. And I did.
And you didn't. You got hamburger and fries.
No, I didn't.
Now, you came outside before your husband arrived, correct?
Right.
Right. So if you're really afraid of somebody, if they're behaving like a lunatic, you stay inside the restaurant until either the police arrived, who you didn't call, or your husband arrives. That's just common sense. So I don't believe that you were frightened.
Okay.
I also think, Mr. Perry, that you overreacted. I don't think you make a big deal about something if you have a fender bender. You had a fender bender that cost you $62.31, not $5,000.
The medical expenses are what cost the most. There's about $4,000 in medical expenses, Your Honor.
As far as I'm concerned, Dr. Perry, if you are in so much pain that you have $4,000 worth of medical expenses, you miss 1 day of work.
Unfortunately,
Dr. Perry,
Your Honor,
you know where I'm going
my patients don't quite get to that point.
Listen, Dr. Perry, it's not a question of your patients not getting to that point. If you have $4,000 worth of medical expenses, you can't work, at least for 1 day. So I think that your medical expenses and your pain and suffering are a little bit of who shot John. But you are entitled to the amount of money to have your car fixed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $62.31. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I wasn't debilitated to the fact that I could not work.
If he's injured, he's injured.
It was debilitation to the fact that I was suffering pain.
I can't stay. I don't have his body.
I think he got what he deserved.
She's Judge Judy. She did her job.
And now the next case. 20-year-old tax researcher Nicole Alligood is suing the father of her child, mechanic Jeff Frazier, for unpaid child care expenses and medical bills. Jeff is countersuing, claiming Nicole has been harassing him and his new girlfriend.
Now, this is case number 355 on the calendar in the matter of Alligood versus Frazier. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Alligood, Mr. Frazier, according to what I read in your complaint, was your former boyfriend?
Yes.
And you have a child together?
Right.
You also lived together for a period of time?
Correct.
And it is your claim that after you decided to separate, you had an agreement with him that he would share all of the child care expenses with you?
Right.
And he did so for a while and then stopped?
Correct.
Now, he has never been adjudicated the father of this child in any court, so you do have an appointment, according to your complaint, in the family court to have an order of support entered.
Correct.
But he has not paid you in some time, and you want him to pay what he promised to pay, which is half the child's expenses.
Correct.
Mr. Frazier says that he tried to do the right thing, that you did have an agreement with him.
Yes, ma'am.
And the agreement was that he would split right down the middle child's expenses. He did do that for a while, but then he says that you stopped letting him see his daughter, and that also was part of the agreement, that he was going to see the child a certain number of days. You stopped letting him visit the days he was supposed to. He stopped paying. When you start letting him visit, he'll start paying.
Yes, ma'am.
And he's counterclaiming because he says that you're angry that he's got a new girlfriend and you've been harassing him.
That's correct.
Going to find out. When did you live together, Miss Alligood?
I moved in about July of '02.
And how long did you stay together?
We were off and on for till May of '04.
When was the baby born?
March of '03.
Now let's get to this agreement that you had with regard to support.
Okay.
You do understand, Miss Alligood, that until Mr. Frazier is legally declared the father of this child, he doesn't have any legal responsibility. The only way he does have a legal obligation is if the two of you made a contract. Okay. And that contract can be a verbal contract, that after you separated, he would pay half, which according to both of you, he did.
Okay.
The issue is whether you breached the contract by not letting him see his daughter, because that was also, according to both of you, one of the terms of the oral contract. He got to visit, spend a certain amount of time with his daughter, and he was going to pay half of her support. He says you stopped letting him see her. Why did you do that?
Every time I called over there to speak to her, he always had friends over. They were drinking. I didn't want my daughter in that environment. I know when we were together, he was drinking every night, and when I left, he was always drinking.
So, Miss Alligood, when you made this arrangement with him to visit, according to you, when he lived with you, he drank every night.
Right, but when she went over there, I never seen him really drink toward the beginning, and then all of a sudden he started hanging out with his friends again, and he was always drinking, and I didn't like my daughter around that environment.
So now what you're saying is, when he was living with you, he was drinking.
Right.
But then when he left you, he stopped drinking.
No, he wasn't
and then
drinking
he started
as much.
again.
He wasn't drinking as much.
Something doesn't sound right, my dear. When did the new girlfriend come into the picture?
About 2.5 months ago, Your Honor.
And when did the visiting stop?
About 2 months ago, Your Honor.
That's not true.
Yes,
it
it
was
is.
only 4 weeks ago. I have proof. It was only about 4 weeks ago.
4 weeks ago was what?
When I found out that he was trying to get full custody of her.
Oh, there you go. And I assume, Miss Alligood, that that is going to be entertained by the court. Who is going to be the primary physical caregiver for this child? Is that what's before the family court?
I haven't even went that far yet, Your Honor. The only thing I've did so far, I actually went down and put myself on child support. I done filed the paperwork for it and to put
You don't have
myself
to show
on
me
that.
papers. Did you have an oral contract that provided he would take care of half the child's expenses?
Right.
And he would see the child half the time.
Right.
And you stopped him from seeing the child half the time.
Right.
So he stopped paying support. That's it. Now a court's going to have to decide, once there is an order of affiliation, an order of support, and who's going to have custody and who's going to have visitation. He would have continued to pay you, which he had been doing since you separated, if you hadn't terminated his visitation. Can't do that. Now, you want to tell me about the harassment?
Okay, on 6/19/04, I was having a get-together with some friends at my house, and Miss Alligood decided to come to my house, and I told her to leave. She refused to leave. I went back inside. She was outside blowing the horn constantly, just blowing it, blowing it, blowing it. I go out front to tell her to leave.
Where was the baby?
She wasn't with her at the moment. She was left her at somewhere. I don't know where she left her at.
She was with you.
So she kept blowing the horn. I come out there and, would you please leave? That's when she proceeded to ask me who's in the house. I said, it's not your business who's in my house. You don't live here anymore. So then that's when she proceeded to say, oh, is that somebody you're doing? She didn't say it that way. I said, yeah, Nicole, it is. And by then, that's when she opened her door and shoved it against me and hit me in my knee real bad. Then sheriff was sitting in the park across from where we were. Right when she did that, the sheriff comes up, asked what was going on, and I told her. She asked me, do I want to put a trespassing warrant against Nicole? I said, yes, I do. So she wrote her a trespassing warrant. Told her not to come back. Yes, ma'am. And as she had Nicole sign that, Nicole balled it up and threw it on the ground and left.
Why did you go over there on the 19th?
I went to go pick up my child.
I don't believe that, because if that's the case, then the police would not have indicated that you were not to return to the property. If you've been over there and said, he has my child, he is not legally the father of this child, there's something going on in that house, the sheriff would not have issued you this trespass warrant.
I did say that. And the lady told him to go in there and get the baby, get all her stuff, and put her in her car. And Jeff, you can't say that she was over there, because she was, and then you scratched me, and then...
That's why I drank, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You don't take care of your children, Mr. Frazier, if you're not there to raise them. You have to find some other use for your organ.
And later today...
Turned around and there's a pit bull just charging towards me from about 150 feet away. It was very aggressive, very dominant posture. Quite frankly, I was terrified.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nicole Alligood says the father of her child, Jeff Frazier, owes for child care expenses. Jeff claims Nicole won't let him see his daughter.
Why did you go over there?
I went over to pick up my
listen to me.
child.
Were you supposed to? Is that what?
Yes.
Shh. What time was it that you went over there?
It was like 8:30, 9 o'clock somewhere.
At night?
Yes.
And why were you going there at 8:30 at 9 o'clock at night to pick up the child?
Because it was my night to have her. It was my night, my weekend, and he wasn't returning her. He wanted her to spend time with his friends, and when I called him to ask him if I can come pick her up, he said, that's fine, whatever, and hung up the phone on me. So I went over there to pick up my child. I pulled up, I beeped the horn for him to bring her out, and he said he's not bringing her out because she's sleeping. Well, why didn't you tell me that over the phone is what I said.
Okay.
And he said, I never told you to come over here. And I was like, that's not what you just told me on the phone. I'm here to pick up my child, now go in and get her.
Just a sec. Are you telling me that that was your night to have the child? Or is this something that you decided that you wanted to do because you felt as if he was having a party at his house?
No, it was my night. When we normally switch her, it's in the evening, 7:30, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, sometimes in the morning on weekends.
What day of the week was this?
A Friday.
Was it supposed to be her weekend?
No, ma'am. She kept calling my house, Your Honor, aggravating me because she knew I had a get-together going on.
Where was the baby?
She was sleeping at the time.
So then you didn't tell me the truth before, sir.
Yeah, I forgot that was truth, that I did have her at my house. I forgot about that, and that's why she came over after I hung up on her, and I told her that she was sleeping. She showed up anyway. She is correct on that, Your Honor.
All right, so incident number 1, that's in her favor. She was supposed to come over. You expected her to come over. What's next?
Okay. The following day, after she got the trespassing warrant, I was at the fish store and I was trying to leave. I come outside and she's backed in right behind me, so I can't get out. I'm like, Nicole, please leave. I'm not going to argue with you. Well, why don't you want to talk to me? I don't want to argue, Nicole. So I try backing out. She pulls the truck up forward. So I backed out up on the curb and shot around her truck. As I was going out, she was coming down the main drag and just ran me right up on the curb. I got off the curb, got on the main highway. She was going behind me, coming in front of me, slamming on the brakes so I can hit her. I have a little MR2. She have a Ford Expedition 4x4. Swerving in my lane with my daughter in the car, in the back seat.
What happened, madam? That's not true, Your Honor. I remember the next day I was with a friend of mine the whole day, and a friend of mine took pictures of my neck where he had scratched me from the night before.
I'm past the night before. I'm at the fish store.
I never went to the fish store.
Do you have a police report?
He did not write a report because she was not there at the time.
What's
She was not
next?
there. That's it.
Okay. Listen, you can't bother him. It's not good for you. It's not good for your daughter. Got to put a period. Got to make peace with him and move on. I'm not making a judgment as to whether or not you followed him on the 20th of June, the day after this incident. You probably did. But I'm certainly not going to make a big deal about it because I don't think it is a big deal. I think what you have to do is you have to stop. He's got a new girlfriend. He's got a new life. He's got, according to you, a whole bunch of other children that he had before he met you, right?
Right.
How many?
There's 4 that's older than mine and 1 that's younger.
So that you knew he had a track record.
I only knew 2.
2 was enough. You still knew he had a track record. When did you find out there were 5?
I found out about the twins right before I got pregnant, and I found out about the one right after we broke up, that he cheated on me and had the next.
Just a second. So you knew about 4 before you got pregnant?
Right, yeah.
You knew about 4. So you knew that this was not somebody who you could count on, because you could be sure that the other women who had these other children, and there were not just one woman, right?
Right.
Right. That they all thought that they were the one and only 2, just like she does.
No, I don't.
That's not my girlfriend, Your Honor.
No.
She's not my girlfriend.
Perfect. She's the only smart one here.
Well, I do take care of my kids, Your Honor.
You don't take care of your children, Mr. Frazier, if you're not there to raise them.
Well, I try to see them, but they don't let me see them.
Mr. Frazier, you don't take care of your children if you're not there to raise them. You don't seed like you're a bee. You pollinate flowers and then move on. That's not being a father.
Yeah,
Do I make myself clear, sir? You have to find some other use for your organ. Your counterclaim, Mr. Frazier, is dismissed.
No problem.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The upsetting part that I can't see my daughter when I want to like it used to be.
He's not going to have a relationship with his daughter because he's going to choose not to.
What the future holds now, I don't know.
I actually would like to have a kind of open relationship to where if he wants his child, he can come get her, but I don't think it's going to happen.
And now the next case. Truck driver Cardell Bolden is suing his ex-girlfriend, nurse's assistant Lisa Maker, for the cost of a DNA test. Cardell says he arranged for the test, but Lisa never showed up.
Yeah, this is case number 396 on the calendar in the matter of Bolden versus Maker. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Bolden, the defendant was your girlfriend at one time.
Yes.
About 9 years ago.
Yes.
And you have a child together, a boy. You have been legally declared the father of that child. Is that
Yes.
right? In a court.
Yes.
You had taken a paternity test when he was born, and the paternity test established that you are, in fact, the child's father.
Right.
Recently, you began to have certain reservations about that because you say he doesn't look like you.
Right.
So you wanted to have another paternity test.
Yes.
According to you, Ms. Maker agreed to take another paternity test. You made the arrangements, and she didn't show up, so you want to be reimbursed for the test. Ms. Maker said, I never agreed to take another paternity test. My son is 9 years old. He doesn't have a relationship with his father. His father is really losing out. She doesn't have to be told twice that you're the child's father. You are his father. That's what the case is about. You want the money back that you put down for the paternity test, for the second test, which is $630. So before we move on, Mr. Bolden, who is this?
That's my girlfriend.
What possible information could she have with regard to this case?
Well, she's just here to back me up, saying that, I mean, I have papers right here saying where she signed to take this paternity test.
So what evidence?
She's just here with me really for support.
That's very stupid on your part, to bring her here for no reason. I'm just telling you. It's just, she's just an irritant.
Well, I'm here.
Mr. Bolden, so let's move back. Can I see the results of the first paternity test that you took? The bloods were drawn on both of you on the same date. Were you present together when the bloods were drawn?
Yes.
And the child's blood was taken the same time?
Yes.
And according to this paternity test, sir, there is a 99.85 probability that you are the father of this child.
Your Honor, where we're from, I mean, I've been hearing reports that, I mean, it's been tampering with tests, so I figured I'd take another chance with it. You know what I mean?
Waited 8 years.
Just a second.
8 years.
The defendant, she didn't tell me she was pregnant until she was 8 months along.
You're lying.
No.
Listen to me. I don't want to hear that.
Well, he's telling a lie.
Listen to me. Listen to me, Mr. Bolden. You may, and I assume that you don't have a relationship with this boy. Is that right?
No, he doesn't.
No. That's why I want to get this all out in the open.
Oh, just a second. It's all out in the open, sir. You have an order of affiliation and you have an order of support. And you have a blood test that was done by a laboratory that the courts in your jurisdiction has deemed an appropriate facility for taking and drawing blood. 99.85. I suggest, sir, that you have to move on. You're going to pay support for this boy until he is 18 years old. And if you choose not to have a relationship with him, that's your loss and his loss. Now, when did she agree to take another test?
March the 19th is the day she signed the paper.
Let me see. Tell me about the conversation you had with her.
Well, it was pretty brief. I went to her residence and told her I didn't think the child was mine.
What made you think 8.5 years later, what woke up and, you know, you got this bee in your bonnet 8.5 years later that the child wasn't yours? What happened?
I mean, I always had my doubts.
But what was it 8.5 years later?
I mean, the child doesn't look like me. Not at all.
Does it look like his mother?
Doesn't even look like her.
Just a second. Doesn't look like the mother either.
Sick.
No.
You're being foolish, Mr. Bolden. Okay, so let me just understand. You went over there to her and you said to her, he doesn't look like me. I don't think he's mine. I want to take another blood test.
Right.
And she said, okay.
Yes.
Why would she agree 8.5 years later to take this test?
Maybe she was sure, you know, he was mine.
No. Why would she agree to take the test? That's something that just doesn't make sense to me.
Exactly.
What makes sense to me is that she would be angry with you, that she would feel as if you have shortchanged this boy by not participating in his life for 8.5 years, that while she gets child support from you, she would have preferred a little bit more support in other areas, support, emotional support with the boy, which you haven't given her. So you want me to believe that you went over there and said, listen, I want to take another blood test, so I not only cut off all emotional support, which I haven't given you, but I'm going to cut off financial support too, if he's not mine. So I want you to sign this piece of paper, and she just went and signed the piece of paper. Is that what you want me to believe?
First we went to the family court. I filed a petition.
Oh, okay. So first you went for the family court, and and what happened?
They denied me. The judge said...
Oh, just a second. So you went to the family court, and you filed a petition that said, I really want another blood test because I don't think he's mine because he doesn't look like me.
Right.
And you brought her to court.
Yes.
When he served you with the papers to go to family court.
And they sent me the notice of when the date was, and it was on March 2nd.
Okay. Were you surprised to get it?
Yes.
Were you annoyed?
Yeah, because I've been getting a lot of papers from him about crazy stuff.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You are frustrated and annoyed with him, right?
Yes.
You picked him. He can't help being stupid. You had a choice.
And later today...
When did this incident happen with your dad?
May 18th. He told me to step outside and ask for the razor. Then he slapped me in the face twice, put the razor to my face, and that's when I jerked away from him and started running.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Cardell Bolden claims ex-girlfriend Lisa Maker owes for a DNA test that never happened. Cardell says he arranged the test because Lisa's son looks nothing like him.
Did you sign this piece of paper?
Yes, because when we went to court that morning and we was leaving out of court and he says, Lisa, can we get more tests done? I says, no, I'm done with it. I said, I'm not doing anything. Only thing I need from you now is his insurance papers because he do pay medical insurance for him through his job. A couple days later, he comes to the house. Comes in, my son is in there. He never speaks. never says one word to my son, which he does it all the time, because he says that my son is not his. We had the test. I'm like, oh, well, if you want to sit up there and miss out, that's on you. I'm not worried about it. He says, here's the papers. I signed. I said, get out, because it didn't make sense for a grown man to walk in my house, not speak to that child or anything. He left. Lab court calls me.
So what you're telling me is you thought that these papers had to do with your son's medical insurance.
Because my son does not get Medicaid through the state. So when he leaves, lab court calls me. I told the lady, I said, look, I don't have to go take no test. The state says I don't. I ain't going to do it. Goodbye. Don't call my house no more. Hung up.
She knew what those papers were, Your Honor.
Why would I sit there and sign?
And we both read through them.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Don't answer. You're always supposed to read what you sign.
But how? I mean, my son is right in the house. This man walks in the house and not even speak to my son.
It's obnoxious. It's obnoxious.
Crazy.
It's obnoxious and stupid.
It is.
It's a product of a stupid mind, an uncaring mind. It's a product of somebody who says that it's the fault of a 9-year-old child to be born.
Yeah.
Why didn't you speak to him?
That's all irrelevant, Your Honor.
Why didn't you speak to him?
I didn't even see her son was not present. When I came in.
Right there.
Her cousin was there. Her son was not there.
He was in the house.
Shh. Just a second. Just a second. Have you ever spoken to him?
Yes.
What have you said to him?
Hey, how you doing?
I mean, I speak to him.
He doesn't know who his dad is, so he's making my son the same way he is. But it's all going to change.
Why not take the test?
I don't have to take anything.
To you. Goodbye.
I don't have to take.
Listen to me. You're in a court. I don't know where you think you are. So far, you're not losing, but you're irritating me. You are frustrated and annoyed with him, right?
Yes.
You picked him. You picked him to father your child. He can't help being stupid. You had a choice. You picked him. So I would suggest you keep your mouth shut. Right? Good. Your case is dismissed, sir. You don't wish to have a relationship with this child. That's your prerogative. You will support him until he's a majority. That's all.
You guys step out.
Good.
My son has a lot of positive men in his life. If he doesn't want to step up to the plate, he ain't got to.
And now the next case. 1-year-old executive assistant Tatiana Harris is suing her ex-neighbor, 21-year-old direct care counselor Tamika Randall, for assaulting her over a parking space. Tamika says Tatiana got in her face.
Yes, case number 384 on the calendar in the matter of Harris versus Randall. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat, please.
Miss Harris, you and Miss Randall were neighbors, and according to your complaint, Miss Randall assaulted you over a parking space. Miss Randall acknowledges that there was some sort of a tiff, but she says that you got into her personal space, whatever that means. Okay. Had you been friendly with the defendant prior to this incident?
Yeah, actually, when she just moved in, I was kind of excited because I'm married with kids, and I'm young, I'm 21, and I saw that they were young, so I said, hey, you know, there's people I could talk to that live right downstairs. So
how many units are in the building?
4. I have pictures.
What I want to know is, this argument happened over a parking space, so why don't you tell me what happened on the 29th?
Okay, on the 29th, Shaniqua, she was parked in my spot. And,
in your parking space?
In my parking spot.
You have assigned spots?
Yes.
Okay.
I knocked on their door to ask her to move, and nobody answered. This was something that kept on happening. It was a recurring problem. So I called my parents. I said, they're still bothering me about this spot. And my mother said, you know what, Tatiana, you've spoken to them before about parking in the spot.
Spoken to them before?
Yeah, from the first time they moved in.
Both of them?
Yes. I told them that we have reserved parking spots. I introduced myself and everything. I was being really friendly with them. So they noticed, and the first day they moved there, actually, I think one of their friends or somebody was parked in my spot, and that's when I said, yeah, we have reserved spots, so could they move? I asked nicely.
And did they move?
Yeah. They got really mad, though, and then they moved.
What was the problem with parking in her spot?
It wasn't me that was parking in her spot. It was my roommates.
Well, who were your roommates?
Shaniqua. She's my roommate. Well, and she's never came to me with the problem about us parking in our spot. Only one time she had asked me to move.
Step up. Why did you park in her spot?
When I parked in her parking space,
It was at like 3 o'clock in the morning. When
I don't care whether it was 3
space.
o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning. Why did you park in her space?
There were no open spaces. I parked in her parking spot. I figured, okay, she has 2 kids. If she's not home at 3 o'clock in the morning, I figured that she wouldn't be parking there. So I parked in her parking spot.
Sit down. What?
Just shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, it sure is. Okay, so this is the morality monitor. If you're not home, you should be home. If you're not home, then I'm parking in your spot. Right. Okay. So they were parked in your spot again. You called your parents, and you told your parents, and evidently one of your parents called the police, and the car was towed.
No, I actually called the police.
What happened?
The police came over. My dad came over first, and then I said, Dad, could you come there with me? Because I didn't want to start anything. Because I've never been in a fight before. I'm not a fighting person.
Okay.
So my dad came over. We knocked on their door. That was the second time. They were home, and Shaniqua was in my spot. And we were knocking on the door, but nobody answered the door. The cops came. I have this report also.
Can I see the police report?
The cops came, and they banged on the door for a while. Nobody answered the door. So after everybody left, because they said, okay, obviously they're not answering the door, and you can't legally have the car towed. So they said all we could do is just ask them not to park there again, and then they'll give them a violation or something. So then after they left, about 2 hours later, I said, you know what, let me go back downstairs and I'll see if somebody opens the door. So I knocked on the door, and that's when Shaniqua opened the door, and I said, what's up with you in my spot? I said, you guys keep on parking there, you know, and I've asked you numerous times not to park there. So I was talking to her for a little while, and I said, so can you please move your car? And they say the same thing all the time. I'll move in a little bit. I'll move in a little bit. I'm going to work anyway. And I said, you know, don't park there. There's other parking spots. Why park there? Then she said, well, you weren't home anyway, so I saw it was free. I said, no, listen, it's my parking spot. It's reserved, so it's never free for you. So then she said, well, I'm leaving. I'm going to work in a little bit anyway.
Who said that to you? Which one?
Shaniqua.
Yeah. That one.
So I said, well, listen. I said, you're in your nightgown. I said, I'll give you 10 minutes to get dressed, but after that, I'm going to call the tow company to come tow your car if you don't move. So, and I was just saying that so she could move her car and see I was serious.
Perfectly reasonable. Will you get to the assault, please?
Sorry, she slammed the door on my face. I went back upstairs. So a couple hours passed, and then I heard bang, 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 bang on my door. I was like, what's going on? So I grabbed the phone because I don't have any friends, so nobody should be coming over my house. So I grabbed the phone, I walked downstairs. I said, I wonder who's knocking on my door. So I opened the door, and she was standing right there screaming at me, Tamika.
What was she screaming?
She was screaming at me saying that I disrespected her by saying that I'd have her car towed if she parked in my spot, and that she'll park there anytime she wants to, and if I do anything about it, she'll kick my butt up and down the street. Then she was making fun of me, yelling out profanities and everything. And she was saying, what's really good? What's really good? Come on, what's really good? That's what she was saying, trying to make me fight her, and I wasn't about to fight her. And the whole time that she was screaming at me, I was dialing the police. That's the first people I called, because I knew that if I called them, they'd come.
At what point did she touch you?
Oh, okay. So now I'm dialing a whole lot of people. I'm sorry. Okay, and then she said, yeah, I'll beat you up. So she's going on and on how she's going to fight me. And just then she punched me in my mouth and then pushed me into my neighbor's door, and that's when the whole fight started.
Tatiana Harris says former neighbor Tamika Randall punched her in the face over a parking spot. Tamika says Tatiana asked for it.
Now, why did you go to her house?
Okay, I received a phone call from Shaniqua saying that Tatiana called the police. However, I was not home when the police came to my house. I was away in Pennsylvania for the weekend. Okay. So when I came home, I got the phone call from Shaniqua saying, oh, Tatiana called the police. They came to the house, and they said that we just wasn't answering the door. So I'm like, what do you mean she called the police? Well, she said because I parked in her spot, meaning Shaniqua.
Just slow down, please.
Oh, I apologize. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go talk to her about it, you know. So I knocked on the door. I was not yelling or anything. I asked her, you know, what was going on. She got very very nasty, and it was uncalled for because before that we were friends. You know, she went drinking.
So she got nasty. Go
yeah,
ahead.
she got nasty. So at that point, I got nasty back. You know, we started yelling at each other. At that point, I turned around and actually went back into the house, closed my door. She stood outside, continuing to yell and everything else. So I came back outside. Like she said, the doors are very close. So I can stand on the edge of my, you know, by my door and still see her by her apartment and still actually be kind of close to her. She was standing, like in the hall.
Try looking in my eyes. Don't look at your shoes.
I was not looking at my shoes. I
Go.
can't see my shoes.
Over here.
However, she was
you're looking
standing on
over
the
there.
cement.
I'm telling you, look over here.
However, she was standing at the cement, on the cement, and I'm in my
Not
apartment.
over there, over here.
I'm
Look
in
at
my
me.
apartment, and she's still yelling at me, all in my face. You know, I thought she was going to hit me, so I hit her.
Good.
That's when the fight started.
Good. You can't hit her. I don't care what you think.
Whatever.
I don't care. Whatever. What? Shh. I don't think that they get it. I don't want to hear you. Do you understand that? That come from that back there?
Mm-hmm.
Get him out of. You, out. I'm going to say 3. 1. Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. You want to participate in the decision-making process, go on Jerry Springer. Not here. This is a court. Maybe a television court, but it's a court. So behave yourselves. Do I make myself clear? Perfect. You have no right to touch her. Clear? Not whatever. Clear, Miss Attitude?
Whatever.
What an idiot. Let me ask you this question, my dear.
Sure.
How old are you?
21.
What do you do for a living?
I take care of disabled adults.
In a home for disabled adults?
A group home.
Tell me what kind of training you had to do that.
You have to take recertifications. Like,
What do you mean? First, you have to get certified. Before you take a recertification,
Yes,
you have to get certified.
Pardon me.
What kind of certification do you need to take care of disabled adults?
You have to learn how to give meds and all like little classes to teach them how to assist with daily living and things like that.
And what kind of temperament do you have to work with disabled adults?
You have to be patient.
Patient. What else?
Kind.
What else?
And you have to be able to teach them. And I am all of those things.
Patient and kind?
Yes, I am. Regardless of what you say or think.
Okay, so you're punched in the mouth. Did you go to the doctor?
Yes.
Can I see the report, please? Thank you.
And from that day, the 29th, that night, I went to stay with my parents. So I went with my kids and everything to my parents' house, and we stayed there until I moved into my
How many
other
children do you
apartment.
have?
2.
How old are they?
2 and 1.
Where's their father?
He's watching them. We're married.
Okay, so you went with your husband to your parents' house?
Yes.
And your 2 children?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Her husband was not around or even in the picture.
And that's exactly why they felt that they could harass me, because he wasn't there.
Let me ask you this question.
Sure.
Why did your roommate and or you disrespect her private space by parking in her parking space?
However, it wasn't me that disrespected her. The only time I might have parked in her spot is when we first moved in with, or had trucks and stuff moving my stuff out. I mean, at that time, my car was never parked in her spot. I had no problem parking down the way to walk to my apartment. It was never an issue for me. Now, Shanique, on the other hand, I have nothing to do with that. My problem was that I felt she should have came to me. I mean, my mother co-signed for this apartment.
Just a second, so you felt that she should have come to you. You weren't there.
No, exactly. So why not wait for me to come home? Neither was Shaniqua. That didn't stop her from calling the cops.
Oh, she was there.
She was home after the fact.
She was there. She was there.
After the fact.
She was there. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,500. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. They step out.
It's ludicrous, but you know what? I don't mind her getting the money. She obviously needs it.
Obviously, they weren't doing the right thing, because you could just tell by how they speak. They can't even talk correctly.
Whatever. It's over and done with. It's not a big deal.
She's really, really extremely hyper.
You have nothing better to do with yourself than to call the police over a parking spot.
She got in my face and punched me and hit me, and then we got into a fight over stupidness.
Park in your own spot, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't fight. There's no reason.
And now the next case. 20-year-old appraisal company worker Angela Sharp is suing her ex-boyfriend, 20-year-old computer technician Chris Betlock, for the return of a futon and vacuum cleaner and for filing a false restraining order.
Yes, this is case number 405 on the calendar in the matter of Sharp versus Betlock. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, folks.
Ms. Sharp, you and the defendant lived together for a period of time, according to your complaint. When you separated, it was under unfortunate circumstances, and it is your claim that he kept certain property that belongs to you?
Yes.
And that, in addition to that, he filed an application for a restraining order against you, and that cost you a certain amount of money. It was ultimately dismissed, and you want him to pay those expenses.
Yes.
The defendant says that he returned all of your property to you, that the property he retained was property he either paid for in its entirety or most of the money that went towards the purchase of those items. I don't know what items they are. And in addition, you were, in fact, threatening him on the telephone so that he had a perfect right to file an application for a restraining order. When did you move in with him, and when did you move out?
I moved in with him June of 2003, and I moved out July of 2004.
Who paid the rent?
We split it.
Is that right, sir?
Actually, that is incorrect. The actual date Angie moved out was on the 18th of August.
It was July.
Time flies
anyway,
when you're having
actually,
a
he kicked me out the first week of July. Said, you know, we were just not getting along too well. Moved all of my clothes back to my mom's house. Later, at the end of that weekend, he decided he was sorry and wanted me back and brought them all back to his house, our place. And the following week, when he was out of town, I decided it wasn't going to work. And he came home and found me with my new boyfriend and moved all of my, well, the belongings he did give me onto my mother's driveway so anyone could have taken them.
I'm glad to see you didn't pine for a very long time at the demise of this relationship and just moved on, Ms. Sharp. That shows that you have an attention span of a flea.
Yeah.
What items do you claim he kept that belonged to you?
He has a wooden futon with a mattress, which...
Okay, let's start. Wooden futon with a mattress.
Yeah, a spring mattress.
Okay, now who bought it and when was it purchased?
I purchased that August or September of 2003, one of the first things that we bought when we just moved out. He did pay for half of that. That is the only thing he paid for half.
Okay, so he paid for half?
Yes, he paid for half, which was $400.
Yeah, that is correct.
Where is it?
The futon is at my apartment.
Well, do you think it's fair, Mr. Betlack, that you keep the futon if you only paid for half?
To the circumstances, yes, I do. I was not aware at all that she was not my girlfriend. I came home one...
Let me explain something to you. Judge, therapist, if what you're trying to tell me was you think it's fair because she was two-timing you, is that what you're saying? Almost not an answer.
Yes,
Almost not an answer.
Yes, I have more.
And you think that the quid pro quo for that is the futon. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. It doesn't work that way. If you paid for half the futon and she paid for half the futon, how do you expect me to play Solomon and decide who gets the futon? How much did you pay for the futon?
We each paid $400.
How much do you think it's worth now?
Probably similar, unless he's inflicted a lot of damage on it.
You mean it's the same as what you paid for it?
I would say. It was...
How old are you?
19.
Futons don't appreciate in value. Let me tell you. Diamonds don't appreciate in value. Appliances don't appreciate in value. There are certain things that appreciate in value. Court officers appreciate in value. Right?
I like to think so.
Right. All right, so let's say you invested $400 in the futon for your half, and let's say he wants to keep it, so that's going to cost him $200. What's next?
Next is a Dyson vacuum, which I myself solely...
A Dyson vacuum?
Yes. I myself paid $500 for, and I have the credit card statement here.
Okay, vacuum cleaner. You have it, right?
That's correct.
Who paid for it?
I paid $325, which I do have the internet transfers.
Can I see what you're going to
Yes,
show
these
me?
are all the items.
Just a second. Can I first see the bill?
Oh, sure. This is a copy of my Capital One bill. And this is my web transaction for the full year. The only time he ever paid me money was...
Just a second. Just one
Actually,
second.
I paid him
Okay.
$100.
Okay, so I have this on her credit card statement for $532. Now, it's your claim, Mr. Betlack, that for this item, as well as other items, you transferred certain amounts of money directly into her bank.
That's
Is that
correct.
right?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Now let me see Mr. Betlak's stuff.
Anything that he had would have to be falsified.
Let me see your bank statement, sir. Bank statement!
I don't have that.
Bank statement. Get your hands out of your pockets.
I apologize. I do not have the bank statement. I did order them, but I did not think that I would have needed.
You think I'm stupid?
No.
Who prepared this? I asked you a question. Who prepared this?
Prepared what? I don't get what you mean by prepared.
This crapola. Who prepared this?
That's not crap.
Show me the bank statement.
I wish I brought it because...
I wish you did too.
Angela Sharp says ex-boyfriend Chris Betlak owes for a futon and a very expensive vacuum cleaner. Angela also says Chris took out a false restraining order against her.
What else?
We purchased a 32-inch TV, I believe it was like the 3rd of January, which cost me $800.
Show me that you paid for it. Where are your checks that you've been paying for it?
I paid them online. He pretty much kept everything that I printed off, all of my statements. He has my filing cabinet, all of my tax returns and everything. Sorry.
Fine. You have any proof that you paid for this TV that you're watching?
Yes, I paid $700, and those are not false or anything. And
That's fine. I tell you what you're going to do. Very, very easy. We're going to go through these things. As soon as you can produce for me your bank statements, if you can produce your bank statements for me, I'm going to give you 30 days to do it.
Okay.
Listen to me. In the meantime, I'm going to continue this case and issue an order. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Very good. What else?
I had purchased a kitten from the Humane Society. He actually would go out of town and take my cat with him. And
well, where have you been since July, madam?
He kicked me out and put my...
Listen to me. Where have you been
My
since
mother's.
July? At your mother's house. Somebody kept my pet. I wouldn't wait 7 months to come to court to get my pet back.
I did. As soon as we went to the harassment court, which I have a copy of the restraining order that was dropped, I asked them about it then, and they said I'd have to take it to small claims court.
Where's our cat?
The cat's at my apartment.
She refuses to give...
Just a second. Is it her cat?
It is her cat, but she's indicated to me that she no longer wants the cat. She just wants $150.
Is that right?
I would like...
Just a second. Is that right?
I would like the money at this point, yes.
The money you don't get. You taking care of the cat?
Yes.
Very good.
Very much.
Okay, so this is the drill. We have $200 for the futon that you're going to keep, right? So you're going to give her $200. And these are provisional orders pending you producing for me the bank statements.
That won't be a problem, Your Honor.
Great. The vacuum cleaner and the TV are to be returned to her 31 days from today's date.
Can I say something?
What?
The way he returned my property on my parents' driveway when no one was around, I don't trust that he's going to return the TV in any good condition or the vacuum. I would just like to have my money that I put into that.
Sorry, you're not going to get your money because things don't appreciate in value.
No, I know, but couldn't I even get, like, say, like, 3/4 of it? Because he's going to damage it before he gives it to me.
I don't know whether he's going to do that or not.
Well,
Your
he's
Honor,
vindictive.
when I moved her out, my witness, Timothy McNeil, was there helping me, and he can testify that we were very careful with all of her
Listen
all
to
of her
me,
stuff.
I don't think that you were very careful, because if you came home and found her, as according to your answer, with a new guy in your apartment, I certainly wouldn't be careful with her stuff. If I were you, I wouldn't be careful with her stuff, so don't give me baloney that you were very careful with her stuff, that you folded it and you put it in bubble wrap. The only other thing that I want to hear about is, sir, why you filed for an application for a protective order?
She made multiple threats to me after that. The fact that I moved her out, that she was going to break into my apartment.
No, that's not true.
I don't want to hear you.
I didn't want my place to get cleaned out. That was the best thing I could do for myself. And the temporary...
Well, let me see what you said when you filed for a protective order. I want to see your application.
I have that with me, and I have...
Shh, shh, shh. Just show it to me. I can read. This says, Miss Sharp, that you called and threatened to come into the apartment and take property.
No.
Oh, yes, you did.
Well, I didn't. I actually
Yes, yes, you did. Sure you did. I mean, I would. Why would you deny it? If you say, listen to me.
He called me, and he called my parents and all of my family members at 3:30 and at 5:30 in the morning. If he was harassing anyone, it would have been me and my family.
Let me ask you this question. Why would he do that if he threw you out?
He was emotionally distressed.
That was the night. I came home at 4 in the morning, a day early from a business trip, found her in bed, unaware that she was not my girlfriend, and that night I called her parents and her family and let them know what was happening and told them that I was going to be moving Angie out.
No, you didn't.
And
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Did you take the paperwork from the house in August?
No, ma'am.
Had you signed a promissory note and a note that said that you would repay the $2,400 in cash?
No.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angela Sharp says ex-boyfriend Chris Betlock owes for a futon and a very expensive vacuum cleaner. Angela also says Chris took out a false restraining order against her.
Are you telling me that you never called him after you moved out about your property and your cat?
I never called him. He called me.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
Well, I would like to call my witness, Timothy McNeil, to the stand, because he was with me during the time that...
I asked you a question. Look at me. Did she call you, or was the conversation initiated by your call to her?
This occurred the day of me moving out and the following day, which would have been the 18th and 19th of August.
And how many times did she call? Is not an answer.
Your Honor, I don't have the exact number, but it was multiple times.
I'm witness to the fact that she placed 5 telephone calls in my presence with Chris, and Chris took those phone calls at different stores and so forth.
You mean on his cell phone?
On his cell phone.
So
and she was calling and harassing him over property, and I'm the one who counseled Chris to go file the order of protection.
Okay. There's nothing untoward in this application. The only thing it says is that you called him and you threatened to come into the apartment and take your personal property. You called him some names, so sticks and stones, but he had a right to file for an application for a protective order. Okay, do you understand my order so far? $200 is what you owe for the futon. I will hold the order for 30 days. In 30 days, if you get me your bank statements, then the order for you to return the vacuum cleaner and the television will not be put into effect. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Your papers can come directly to the court. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
What is that excuse? You can step out.
All I can say is that she's her mom's, and if she has kids, they're going to be too.
Chris is vindictive and you can't deal with him.
That girl was in bed with another guy I've never seen before.
That's true. We broke up. People break up. He needs to get over it.
The night before, she didn't come back, which was our night before our anniversary. She stayed out overnight.
No. I never celebrated monthly anniversaries with him. He just took it a little harder than he should have.
The worst thing about it is that I really loved this girl, and I was planning on marrying her, and, you know, that's what I was pursuing, and she threw it all away.
And now the next case. 19-year-old student Brittany Craig is suing custodian Lisa Jackson and her daughter, 16-year-old Tamaya Jackson, for damages due to an assault. Brittany says after a high school football game, Tamaya ripped her hair out and stole her cell phone.
Order. All rise. That's case number 440 on the calendar, the matter of Craig versus Jackson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, ladies. Have a seat.
Miss Craig, it is your claim that this young lady over here assaulted you after a sporting event.
Mm-hmm.
When was this event?
This was on November the 12th, 2004.
Where?
At Washington Marion High School in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Is that where you live?
No, ma'am. I live about 2 hours away in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
You got there by bus? Or
It was a charter bus. It was a lot of us that came up. It was like a football game that see who goes to a championship or whatever.
Whose team won?
My high school.
So you were pretty happy?
Yes, I was pretty happy.
Your team lost?
Yes, ma'am.
You were not so happy?
No, ma'am.
According to what I read, your brother is also on that team. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Miss Craig, what happened after the game?
After the game, me and my friends and a couple of us who were riding on the bus, we were walking back to the bus. My friend who was with me, she's a witness, well, she was pretty excited because her brother plays on the team. And we were all walking from out of the gate, and this lady, she comes from nowhere, and she's like, "You better get on that bus." And I turned around, and I was like, "Why are you talking to us?" And before I can finish talking, this girl hits me.
Where did she hit you?
She hit me on my head, and I just remember falling back like this, and she just started pulling my hair.
What happened next?
I can just feel her just pulling in my hair. It all went by so fast. I dropped my phone. I didn't know I had dropped it at the time. By the time I got on the bus, I decided to call the phone just to make sure it was missing and not with me at the time. And I called the phone. She picked it up, and she said, "You want to come over here and fight? This phone belongs to Lake Charles. This is not your phone anymore."
What kind of injury did you suffer, Miss Craig?
There wasn't any type of bruises or anything. She just pulled out my hair.
Pulled out a clump of hair?
A lot of hair. I have pictures to show that also.
Can I see it, please?
Sure.
I'm listening.
When this happened,
I want you to listen to me. I want you to look right here when you're talking, not at the floor.
All right. When this happened, we were leaving the football stadium.
Who was we?
Me and my mother and my sister and my brother. So I was standing there, and she said she was going to her bus, but her bus was behind her. So obviously she wasn't going to her bus. She was looking for something. She was looking for trouble or whatever, because she came confronting us, talking about we won, we won.
So she said to you, we won. Go ahead.
And she was in my face. And I'm the type of person, if you in my face, you invade my my privacy. So when she was in my face, she was telling me we won, we won. So I told her to get out of my face. And when she rammed up against me, we started fighting. When I got on top of her, she started choking me. And to keep her from choking me, I defended myself by biting her.
She's lying, Your Honor.
Do you think I believe you? Do you think I believe you?
No, I don't know if you believe me or not.
Don't know. You're going to find out.
Hello, Your Honor. I'm the witness, Nakia. And
Nakia, you have a last name.
Nakia Porter. And just as Brittany stated, it was my brother that played on the football team, and Brittany just attended the high school. So I was the one that was saying, yeah, we won, and we were going to the championship. And that's when...
So you were excited?
Yes, ma'am. I was excited. I was the one saying, yeah, we won the championship. I was nowhere in her face. We were walking to the bus. And that's when Tamaya approached Brittany and hit Brittany.
So Brittany wasn't saying we won.
Saying anything.
Miss Jackson, you want to say anything?
Yes, Your Honor.
I want you to be very sure of something.
Yes.
Certain things make sense in the scheme of life, and certain things don't make sense in the scheme of life. So if you're not going to tell me what happened on the 12th of November, based upon what you observed, and if you're going to try to cover for your daughter, I suggest you say nothing. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You have anything you want to say to me?
I sure do.
How many times was your daughter arrested prior to November 12th?
Once.
For what?
For stealing some shoes.
And how many times has she been suspended from school?
Oh, about 4 times.
Now, you want to know something? I don't have any of those records. But I can tell from her attitude, from the way she holds herself, that she's a troublemaker. You want to know how? Because I've been in the business longer than you've been her mother. So I know she's a troublemaker. Now, how many of those suspensions from school, which are very easily verified, have been for fighting?
All of them.
How do I know that? I ask you these questions before you go to testify, Miss Jackson, so I don't have to humiliate you. Do you understand?
Yes.
You still want to talk to me?
Yes.
I'm listening.
Okay, first of all, Brittany should have never came to where we were at to fight with Tamaya. She is the one. She had a purse in her hand, swinging it in Tamaya's face.
Bull. Didn't happen.
Yes, it did, Your
No.
Honor. Yes.
Didn't happen. Didn't happen. Your daughter is a bully troublemaker. Young lady. You've been suspended from school 4 times for assault.
But
Did you learn the
being suspended doesn't have anything to do with her.
Listen to me. Oh, yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Got it?
Because for one thing, by her being 19 years old, I'm 16 years old. She don't have no business fighting me anyway.
You outweigh her probably by 40 pounds.
It don't matter, though.
You outweigh her probably by 40 pounds.
And she got what she asked for, too.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your daughter has some serious personality disorder, and maybe it has to be addressed with not only therapy, but medication.
She's in a therapy already.
Well, it's not working.
And later today,
Your mother gave you the money because your great aunt hit you on the head with a broom before she died?
4 days before she died, yeah.
You better get a life.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 19-year-old Brittany Craig says 16-year-old Tamaya Jackson beat her up after a high school football game. Tamaya claims Brittany was in her face.
Miss Jackson, you're not going to have any pleasure from this girl unless you take her by her hand and get her involved in some serious therapy that she's perhaps going to learn from. Otherwise, you're going to be cleaning up after her messes for a very long time.
Your Honor, I do not clean up behind her messes. She's in a therapy already.
Well, it's not working. And if you make excuses for her bad behavior, it will never work.
I do not make excuses for her bad behavior.
Well, you did today.
Excuse me, can I say something?
Sure.
What I do is on my own. If I do it, I'm going to do it because I want to do it, not because anybody tells me to do anything. I don't need a therapist for nothing. If I want to fight, I'm going to fight. If I don't, I'm going to leave it at that.
Got it?
Got
If you don't get it, you should get it. Because I don't know how old she is, 17, 16?
No, 16.
16? Maybe, unlikely, but there's always a chance that you can turn the behavior around. You won't have that chance unless you understand that your daughter has some serious personality disorder that really has to be addressed. And maybe it has to be addressed with not only therapy, but medication. But until you recognize that, she's gone. She's lost. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $2,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She lied and said something about I pulled her hair out her head, and her hair don't have nothing to do with me and her fighting.
I feel like there was justice. Justice was served.
My daughter, she doesn't bother anyone unless they come up and bother her.
She got what she asked for.
Their team was a loser, and I was a winner.
I hope it's the end of it.
And we win today again. So she loses twice.
And now the next case. Convenience store clerk Jennifer Chadwick is suing 18-year-old student Adam Brewer for causing false charges to be brought against her for selling alcohol to a minor. Adam is countersuing, claiming Jennifer caused him to be arrested.
Yes, case number 426 on the calendar in the matter of Chadwick versus Brewer. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Is this your son? Yes. And this?
This is my friend Jessica, my coworker.
Okay. How old are you, Mr. Brewer?
18.
I gather you went camping for an evening?
Yes.
Who did you go with?
My friend Caitlin.
Just the two of you went camping?
No, we met more friends there.
How many more friends?
6 to 10.
So you were going to have a party?
Yes, basically.
At the campsite?
Yes.
And this is a private campsite?
No.
You have to pay to get in?
Yes.
Who do you pay?
At the front gate.
You drove your car?
No, I got dropped off and I was meeting Caitlin there.
Your Honor, he wasn't even allowed to be at the campground.
You got dropped off by whom?
One of my friends, Joseph.
And where were you going to be sleeping?
On Caitlin's site.
Did you pay?
Yes, you have to pay a $5 per person on each site. I paid Caitlin's father, but he never got to the campsite in time.
Do you have the ability to pay at the gate when you come in?
Yes.
That's all I wanted to know. Mr. Brewer, so let me understand this. You have the ability when you walk into the gate to pay the person at the gate. Instead, you chose to give the $5 to somebody else. Is this what you're telling me? I just want to know what you're telling me.
You need permission from the person that has their name on the site first. So I had to go in and make sure I had permission first.
He's a fast thinker. Watch. He actually, at age 18, thinks that he's smarter than I am. You ultimately got arrested or taken into custody, didn't you, for not paying? Isn't that right?
No.
Really? You were taken into custody for something, Mr. Brewer. You want to explain it to me?
Illegal possession of alcohol by a minor.
No. You were stopped for something else.
I was stopped for trespassing.
Right!
But I wasn't taken into
Listen
custody.
to me. Listen to me. Mr. Brewer, do you think you're smarter than I am?
No, Your Honor.
On your best day, you're not as smart as I am on my worst day when I'm sleeping. I guarantee you, sir, when I ask you a question, if I don't get a straight answer from you, not a convoluted one, not one that's tiptoeing around the truth, I'm going to wipe up the floor with you. Do we understand each other?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. You understand me?
Yes.
Good. You don't mind that, do you?
Mm-mm.
Good. Now, after you were there, and according to you, gave Caitlin's father this $5, and Caitlin's father, being the irresponsible person that he is, never turned in your $5, so you got stopped for trespassing. I said that all in one breath.
Amazing.
You got thirsty, and you needed some cigarettes, right?
Yep.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sorry. Yes, Your Honor.
So you went to the store where Miss Chadwick worked?
Yes.
What happened when Mr. Brewer came into your store, Miss Chadwick?
Mr. Brewer walked in the store, he went to the cooler and grabbed a soda. He then proceeded to come up to the desk, the counter, and ask me how much a six-pack was. He doesn't look old enough to buy alcohol. I automatically assumed he meant soda, so I told him $2.69 for the six-pack of soda, and I rang him up for it, and I put this one soda in a bag, and I gave him a bag to get the rest of the soda. And that was the last that I saw of him, because I'd have no vision of the cooler where I'm working.
That's not true.
What about the cigarettes?
I do not recall selling him cigarettes. I really don't.
I have the police report that says it does.
Don't interrupt. I don't like to be interrupted. And then, according to you, you were served with a summons for selling alcohol to a minor.
Yes.
You had legal fees and other fees, and that's the basis of your lawsuit.
Right.
That he sort of tricked you.
Correct.
Into selling him the alcohol. And then when he came outside, was that when you were stopped for trespassing?
Yes.
And what happened when you were stopped for trespassing?
He escorted me to the store again, and I talked to the manager, which was also one of the co-owners. She told him to escort me out front and let me go.
Co-owners of what?
The campground, Lake Pembroke Campground.
I thought you said it wasn't a private campground.
It's not, but somebody has to own it.
Do you attend school, Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
What school do you attend?
Booth Bay Region High School.
When do you anticipate graduating?
This year, in June.
Perfect. Private as opposed to public, Mr. Brewer, means that if individuals own a campground, that means it's a private campground. It's not owned by the state where you live. Now do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
So this was a private campground, right?
Yes.
Now, when were you stopped for the alcohol, Mr. Brewer?
Around 8:45.
Is that the same time that you were stopped for trespassing?
No, I was stopped for trespassing around 8:30.
And what'd you do with what you were carrying?
I kept it on me.
Well, how did you get caught with this alcohol? How did that happen?
When the police arrived, they asked to search my backpack.
When did the police arrive?
When I was walking out, I met the other co-owner of the campground. He told the security guard to call the police, give me a warning, and send me away.
Call the police for trespassing?
Yes.
Didn't you say to them, go to Caitlin's father, I gave him my $5. Didn't you say that to them?
Yes, I did.
And they didn't?
No, they called up front. Caitlin's father never went in and paid the $5, so therefore I wasn't on the list.
He would never be on the list to begin with because he was caught for trespassing the year before.
No,
he was not allowed. He was not allowed to be in the
that's a
campground.
lie.
Just a second. How do you know he was stopped for trespassing the year before, Miss Chadwick?
We have this list in the store up by the reservation desk of people who are not allowed in the campground, period, for reasons maybe they got kicked out the year before or anything like that. And his name is on the list, and it has been, and it was before this incident.
Were you stopped the year before in that campground, sir?
No.
What about the year before that?
No.
At any time?
No.
I mean, she's just making it up.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're a liar.
I am not.
I don't believe you. And if your mother believes you, she's going to spend a lot of time visiting you every other Sunday.
And later today,
We both ate mushrooms. She wanted to get mushrooms for her birthday. I wanted to get mushrooms for
You're talking about drugs.
hallucinogenic mushrooms, yes.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Convenience store clerk Jennifer Chadwick says customer Adam Brewer owes for legal fees for false charges of selling alcohol to a minor.
Well, Mr. Brewer, it seems to me security at the campground says that you were told not to return to that campground.
As of this time, yes.
No. Officer's narrative indicates that Adam Brewer was told not to return to the campground and that they saw him on the property and wanted him arrested.
No. The first time I was on there without a cite because I was waiting for the campground to open up and accept cites.
So there was a time when you were told not to come back to that campground.
No, I was told not to come back unless I had a cite. I was waiting for my mother to come back and book it.
Well, that's not what security says. Then, when they stopped you and they said, can we look through your backpack, and they found this alcohol, you lied to them, right?
No.
Well, let me read what you said. Adam stated that he didn't know where it came from when asked where he got it from.
I told him I didn't want to tell.
No, that's not what they say. So the police made another mistake.
No.
They made another mistake.
No, I'm not saying that.
So you're saying that they lied on purpose in this
No.
police report? Well, there's either it was a mistake or it's on purpose. Which one was it?
Neither.
It has to be either a mistake. It's wrong. What's written in this report
No,
is
it's
wrong.
not. No,
so
it's
either
not.
it was a mistake or they lied on purpose.
No.
Got it? Were you in the store at the time this young man came into the store?
Yes.
Step up, please. Tell me your name.
My name's Jessica Black.
Please describe what you saw.
I saw the defendant step up to the counter with a can of soda, and I saw him and Jen talk a little bit, and Jen rang him in, and then he stepped away from the counter. That's all I saw, because I was back to them washing dishes at the time. So.
All right, Mr. Brewer, now I'd like you to describe for me how it is that the plaintiff sold you alcohol.
I walked up to the counter, set a Mountain Dew can on the counter. I asked specifically for a Smirnoff six-pack.
Just a second. So you brought up a can of soda
Yes.
to the counter.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I asked specifically, Smirnoff Twisted Green Apple, how much it was. She said $7.49. Would you like one? I said yes. She also sold me a pack of cigarettes that night.
So let's see what we have. How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
We have an 18-year-old young man who goes to a place where he's required to pay an admission, and he doesn't. Some story about Caitlin's father, who is not even mentioned in this report in your narrative. Then he's told not to come back to the campsite, because that's what the security guard says, and he comes back anyway. Then the police stop him for trespassing. They look in his backpack. They say, where did you get this from? He says, I don't know. So he thinks that being slippery is okay. Well, being slippery is not okay. I think that it was a pretty good scam that you had, taking a bottle of Mountain Dew over to the counter, because I think that you could have just as well, if you wanted a six-pack and they're out there, you could take a six-pack and put that on the counter. I mean, that would be the normal thing to do. If you wanted to buy a six-pack, you would pick up a six-pack, bring it up to the counter and say, this is what I want. Is that what you did?
No.
No. You brought up the can of soda and said, how much is a six-pack?
Of Smirnoff Twisted Green Apple. I stated.
You're a liar.
I am not. I stated it.
You're a liar. I don't believe you. And if your mother believes you, she's going to spend a lot of time visiting you every other Sunday.
Told us.
Listen to me. She's going to be visiting you unless you straighten up every other Sunday. How much were your legal fees?
My legal fees were $711 total. I have the bills right here if you'd like to see them.
I'd like to see them, please.
I also have a paper here that says the charges against me have been dropped because of insufficient evidence. I missed an entire semester of school to deal with this. I'm going to school to be a teacher.
Okay. Now, Mr. Brewer, let us assume, just for the briefest of moments, that I believe you, Let's assume that for a moment, that I believe this cock and bull story that you just gave me. You knew you weren't supposed to buy alcohol, so why did you do it?
Bad decision. Wasn't thinking.
Well, if it's a bad decision, sir, where do you get the gall to counterclaim for $4,500 this 20-year-old girl who had the misfortune of falling into your scheme? Where do you get the audacity to sue her?
I'm suing her for my fees that I had to pay for court. Hers was settled in November. Mine was settled in August. I spent
Sir, it's
longer
your
time.
fault.
It's not my fault that she didn't card me.
Unless you get him some serious help, I want you to put away one Sunday a month for the next 30 years. Because he refuses to accept responsibility for doing the wrong thing.
I did accept responsibility. Right. I settled it myself.
Oh, God almighty. Your counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $4,711. $4,000.
No, that's not even right.
$4,000 is for the annoyance, the fact that she lost a semester from school because of your ridiculousness.
I lost my own time.
Good! You deserve it!
How?
Get him out of here.
Parties are excused.
I'm just glad that Judge Judy saw it my way, saw the truth, what really happened.
She lied. Blatantly lied out there.
He asked me how much a six-pack was. He had a soda on the counter. What else was I supposed to think?
I had lost my car, grounded.
That's not my fault.
My family's still giving me crap for it. I mean, come on.
I hope he learns a little bit of responsibility and respect for authority.
And now the next case. Carpet layer Donna Fauch is suing her son, 24-year-old fireplace installer Michael Schmidt, for a loan to buy a 96 Eagle Talon. Michael says buying him a car is the least she could do.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. This is case number 428 on the calendar in the matter of Fauch versus Schmidt. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Miss Fauch, this young man is your son. How old are you?
24.
According to what I read in your complaint, he was a little bit of trouble growing up, but then according to you, seemed to, in the last couple of years, straightened up.
Right.
Got a job. He was living on his own, taking care of his own bills. When he came to you and asked if he could borrow some money for a car, you decided that since he seemed to be doing the right thing, you would lend him the money.
Right.
When did he call you and ask you if you could lend him some money?
12th of October is when I took out the loan. He called, asked if I would help him.
What did he say?
Mom, my girlfriend's dad came and got the truck I had. I don't have a vehicle to get to work. Would you please help me get a car? For the first time, I said yes, even when my husband said no.
Mom, would you help me get a car? So what did you do?
I told him I would call the bank, get a loan. I went down, picked him up, took him down to the car lot, wrote a check for $2,000.
And?
He took the car, title went in his name, and now he doesn't want to pay the payments. And
Well,
I've been making them.
Talk to me about the payments. So far, I haven't heard anything about him agreeing for the payments.
I told him I would borrow him $2,000. You pay me back at $250 a month for 8 months, and it would be paid.
And what did he say?
I will. He agreed to pay the money
Where was
back.
he working at the time?
He works putting in fireplaces.
You work for a company?
Yes.
You get paid by the week?
Yes.
What do you get paid?
Approximately $400 a week.
Is that what you take home?
Yes.
So it wouldn't have been any trouble to pay back the $250 a month?
It wouldn't have been any trouble if that was the case.
Okay. Is this your girlfriend?
Yes.
Her father had allowed you to use one of his vehicles?
He co-signed for a loan on a pickup, and we split up. And he took the pickup.
Who split up? You?
Me and Kara.
Whose name was the truck in?
Mine and her dad's. He was first signer on the title, so he had the right to take it from me whenever he wanted.
Well, had you been making the payments on it?
Yes.
All the payments?
Yes.
Even after you broke up?
No. Once he took the truck from me, I quit making payments.
But before that, you were making the payments?
Yes.
Are you back together again with the girlfriend?
Yes.
What about the truck?
I still don't have it.
Do you talk to the father?
No.
Do you talk to your father?
Yes.
Why did he take the truck back?
There was the full...
Tell me your name.
Kara Nelson.
Why did your father take the truck back?
There was a lien on the truck, so there was supposed to be full coverage insurance on it, and it got dropped to liability.
Who dropped it?
I did.
Why?
I didn't figure I needed it.
Well, if there's a lien on it, then you have to have it.
I didn't know. I'd never had a vehicle in my name before that had a lien on it.
Well, did somebody discuss it with you after you said you dropped it?
No. He just came and took it after I dropped it. No one said nothing.
And how long had you had the truck?
Approximately 5-6 months.
And what prompted you, after 6 months, to drop the expensive part of the coverage?
Because it was expensive. It was a little more than I could afford.
And you didn't discuss that with anybody?
No.
Don't you think you should have?
Yes.
So that was a mistake.
Yes.
So now you understand why he took the truck back, because you
Yes.
did something that was irresponsible.
Yes.
Now, you called your mother, and what did you say to her?
I explained to her that my truck had been taken, and she volunteered to help me buy a car.
Well, what did she say to you?
I'll give you $2,000. That's all I can afford.
I didn't say I...
And I went. I found a car for $2,600. I paid $600. She paid a check for $2,000, and I got my car.
Okay. Now, when for the first time did your mother call you and ask you to make a payment?
I never got a phone call from her afterwards. Next thing I knew, I had court papers delivered to my house.
Well, this was in October that she gave you the money.
Yes.
And when did you have the court papers delivered?
It was approximately a month later.
In November?
Yeah.
And what did you do when you got the papers? You called her and said, what's this all about, Mom?
No, it's... My parents have never been there, so I figured this...
After she gave you the money, October 12th, and you went down and got the car, did you call her the next day, the next week, 2 weeks later?
No.
Why
I
not?
haven't talked to her. We just don't talk. We haven't talked since...
Well, it was easy for you to call her up, Mr. Schmidt, and ask her for money.
Yes. I just figured that was the least she could do for me.
According to your complaint, you have a witness.
Yes, I do. My daughter, Tricia.
With whom your son had a conversation. You're Tricia?
Yes.
I'd like to hear what you have to say.
He told my mom that, or he told me.
I don't want to hear what he told your mom. Only what he told
me
you.
that he wasn't going to pay her because she's never done anything for her, and that when he
Let's go back a second. After your mother gave him the money, and I assume after he got served with the papers for court, you had a conversation with him.
Yes.
Did you keep in regular touch with your brother?
Yeah, I always talked to my brother.
Well, what did he say to you when he got the papers?
He said, Mom's suing me.
And you said to him?
She has the right to.
And he said to you?
If she takes me to court, I'm going to tell her that it was a gift and they can't take a gift away.
Did he say why he was going to do it?
Because she never done anything for him.
And what did you say to him when he said to you, well, she never did anything for me?
I said, that's your own business.
Is that the whole conversation?
For that one, yeah.
After that conversation, did you have other conversations with your brother?
Yes, I have.
So you're on good terms with him?
Yes.
You like him?
Yeah. He's family.
You call him, he calls you?
Yes.
He just doesn't call your mother?
No.
He's angry with her?
Yes. He's always been angry with her.
Do you know why?
Because she sent him away.
Do you know why she sent him away?
Because he always got into trouble with the police.
Do you speak to your mother?
Yes.
So you were on good terms with your mother and your brother?
Yes.
Good for you. Good for you. Thank you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want you to go like this to yourself. Pinch it hard. Are you alive?
Yeah.
That she gave you.
And later today,
I stuck my hand in the bag and I was poked by a needle. The next day, I had red lines going up to my armpit. My mom came over. She said, you have to go to the hospital. She said, it looks like you have a blood infection.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Donna Fouch says her son, Michael Schmidt, owes for a loan to buy a car. Donna claims Michael has a troubled past.
Think of any reason why your sister would make up a story like that?
No. I talked to my sister that one time after I got served with the court papers.
And you said something like, that's the least she could do for me. She never done anything for me before.
I did say that, but there was no agreement between me and my mom to pay the money back.
What does your mother do for a living?
She works at Winnebago.
What do you do there?
I lay basement carpet.
How much do you earn a week?
I come home with $326.
A week?
A week.
Just you and your husband are at home?
Yes.
Just you and your girlfriend, I assume?
No.
Who else?
It's me and my roommate.
You have a roommate?
We don't live together.
Oh, great. So you have a roommate who
Yes.
pays half the rent.
Yes.
Well, it sounds to me like you're in much better shape financially than your mother.
No. My dad makes a lot of money, too, who also helps pay with her bills.
But she lives with your father, or is this your stepfather?
Stepfather.
He's not responsible for you.
No.
Right?
Right.
This is what I don't understand, sir. You would have me believe that without trying to contact you at all, your mother gave you this $2,000 and then went to court and sued you. You would have me believe that she didn't, as she says she did, try to call you several times and you wouldn't take her call, right?
Right.
You see, that makes sense. That's common sense. That has a smack of reality to it, that she gave you this money. She said it has to be paid back because it's a home equity loan. Otherwise, it comes out of the equity in my home, so I have to pay it back. And I'll let you know when the first payment is due. She called you, and all of a sudden you didn't want to talk to her anymore. And you didn't talk to her for a month. And then she said, I have no choice. I'm going to sue him because not only won't he take my calls to even talk about it, but he's so disrespectful to me at this time after he called me for my help, and I was there for him to help him.
For the first time ever?
Let me ask you a question, sir. I want you to go like this to yourself. Go like this. Go like this. Pinch it hard. Pinch it really hard. Are you alive?
Yeah.
That she gave you. Parents aren't perfect, and children aren't perfect. Sounds to me as if your mother has a reasonable relationship with your sibling. So what you're suggesting to me is she was a good mother to one child and not a good mother to the other. Is that what you're suggesting?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, is there any particular reason for that you might think? Maybe you were a more difficult child. You think that's possible? The same
It's
child
possible.
that canceled the insurance on a truck when somebody else was responsible for it?
Yes.
Got my drift? After a while, you start having to take responsibility for your own actions, sir. And you're 24 years old. The time is now. And if you, as an adult, say, listen, my mother wasn't a good mother to me, and I've made a choice that I don't want to have anything to do with her. You're entitled as an adult to do that. It's foolish, but you're entitled as an adult to do that. But what you did was you called her and said, I need money. You owe her the money. Pay her the money. It's the right thing to do. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
My mom gets her money. I'm just glad it's over with.
He needs to learn that he needs to pay his bills.
My mom was given an ultimatum when I was 12. My stepdad or me. She chose him.
I guess